Earthlings.
Hello, I've just realized.
You just cut out then, I
Can
think.
you hear me?
Behave yourself.
No, hang on 1 second, sorry.
Now, I've got to, I'm trying to stream to Instagram.
Okay.
So I've got to
turn my sound up.
do some messing.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Good, good. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Fabulous. Greetings, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, folks. We've go live. Okay.
We've got new stuff going on with StreamYard, and the Doc's trying to figure it all out, aren't you, Doc?
It's messing with my head. Okay, so I've tried to. It says go live on Instagram, but it won't. When you click it, nothing happens. So I obviously haven't got that sorted out yet. Oh well, never mind. So we're on one channel, and there's only two of us. So let's explain all that. First off, of course, the usual thing about we don't charge. Now I'm getting a thing. We're having trouble with Instagram. Okay. Remove. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm just getting all kind of. Well, it's like one of these things, isn't it? You know, when you've got new technology. Because
I know it's trying to get used to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
So yes,
guess what? I did something that I hadn't done for years. Today.
Do I want to hear this? I don't. Yeah, go on. All ears. I'm all ears. Got my headphones in now.
You know. I did my shirt up the wrong way.
What?
You know, like like with it.
Also, like inside out.
No. So it means that it wasn't, both sides weren't the same.
Oh yes, so you've buttoned it up and it's one side's longer than the other.
Yeah. I don't think I've done that since school days.
Since you were a boy.
The worst thing is if you do it and then you don't notice you've done it, and then 3 hours later you notice it and you feel a bit of a banana, don't you? So right, okay. So Nella's just been called back to the fire situation. In fact, she sent us a video, didn't she, a couple of days ago, and also a horrendous account of what's going on over there. See, there seems to be fires.
Yeah, it looks horrendous.
Linda's saying age. I've got another story about age, but I'm not going to tell you that one.
No, you don't want to hear that one, to be fair.
I know. And also, if there's a lot of buzzing going around on my screen, I've just got loads and loads of fruit flies.
Oh, they're lovely fruit flies.
Yeah.
They're really funny.
I'm covered in fruit flies, so I'm not quite sure.
You are a banana.
Yeah, I know.
After all. Stick with the T-shirts, Roger. Yeah. Debbie's saying.
Yeah.
And Jeremy says, Wendy not being able to hear Roger isn't the worst thing. Hey, boys. Fighting talk. Put them up.
He always has to have a bit of a go, doesn't he?
It's a love-hate thing. No, it's a love thing. I think you only tease people when you think fondly of them.
Yes, apparently. So Nell's been called back out to the fires. So there's a story, although she might get to. She's going to try and
log in
get on via her car once she's there. But she sent us a video, and the fire was only 20 meters away. It looked really scary, didn't it? She said that there wasn't much oxygen around, and that they'd got a message that a dog was trapped in a house. So they went there, and then there was it a barn, Wendy?
I think so. Or if, I don't know if it was a barn or just in a field. I can't quite remember that bit.
So 50,
but enclosed.
Yeah, so 50 baby goats. So they obviously didn't have space in their vehicle for all of them. And so they made the decision to let them out to give them a chance, a fighting chance kind of thing. And apparently the farmer or the owner or whatever reported them to the police. And the police were looking for them because of the obviously you're interfering with somebody else's property, aren't you, I guess.
And then it's something like if they are gone and they're not found dead, then you can't claim insurance against them, because of course you haven't got the proof that you had the property in the first place. So something like that. Some kind of compensation for having dead livestock, I believe.
I didn't get that bit. So from the guy's point of view, it was better for them to be trapped and therefore dead, because they could be counted and all the rest of it. Oh, I didn't get that bit. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, talk about
horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying, what a world where we value money over life. And of course it is like that. It is like that now.
All the way through, isn't it? Okay, so where are we going to start? I've done a thing on Facebook for this show, so I've got a summary report. I was asking people about ex-vegans. Hang on a minute, we're getting a message coming in from Nella.
Yeah, so basically, while the doc is checking that, we were just basically chatting about the movement and generally, and is it in crisis, because there is a lot of advocacy now to be an imperfect vegan. Then we were thinking about when people become ex-vegans, when they used to live vegan and now they don't, and also when people used to be activists, and we were talking about how the activist community seems to be shrinking and fewer people doing activism, and people who used to do it no longer doing it, and that kind of thing. So we were just kind of looking at an overall picture of whether the vegan movement is shrinking and in crisis. So we were just thinking about all those aspects. I would love to hear all your views on this as well, your comments, because I'm sure you've all got opinions on what's going on and how you feel about it and what's going on in your areas as well.
Yeah, well, one of the burning questions for me was I was wanting to know whether if people, as it were, turn their back on veganism, would they also turn their back on other issues? Like, for example, they identified also as a feminist. So I didn't get many answers to that, but of the ones that I did get, most people said no. My mate is still a feminist, but no longer, plant-based or a vegan. And so the weird thing about plant-based vegan and whether everybody just focuses straight in, because I mean, I don't think I got many references to veganism wasn't about food, and it's almost impossible to see that. We've got a clip about that, though, haven't we? Maybe we should start with that. Do you want to start with the Maggie clip, Wendy?
Yeah, we could definitely do.
Yeah, it will get us going. So we're in a bit of a mess today, folks, because we've everything's a bit last minute. So,
although we planned the show quite a long time ago, so it's not it seems like it's last minute, but actually it's all just the tech stuff that's last minute, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing though is that we've had a few shows where it has been last minute and it's gone smoother than this one. It's almost like we got all set up and then a few days passed and then it's kind of like, right, what have we decided to do? And then you have to kind of almost start again. It's a bit weird, really. What's veganism?
We'll put it down to age, Doc.
Yeah.
We'll put everything down to age today. Age or heat. Just go with one of those, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. Well, you got that in before Jeremy did it, I see. Anyway, so that's right. So here's an example of the kind of thing that we're talking about, folks.
Isn't a diet. I know, it's an ethical lifestyle that avoids animal exploitation. However, there is a diet component. I'm not talking weight loss diet here, those fad diets of the 90s, or even modern day Whole30, whatever else is out there. I'm talking about the food we put in our bodies. There is very much a diet component of veganism. That's why my handle is Maggie Eats Vegan. Most people start their vegan journey with food. Food is the easiest way to begin. And then you start, that's like the tip of the iceberg. And then you start realizing, okay, the products I'm putting on my skin and the products I'm using to clean my house and my car and the clothes I wear and all of these other things. And maybe I won't go to zoos and maybe I won't do this and whatever. But it starts for a lot of people, I will say not everyone, but it starts with food. So stop shouting at other vegans who are trying to promote vegan food on the internet, and stop telling us that we don't understand what veganism means and that we're really just plant-based because we don't understand what veganism means.
Right. Okay. So there's a few
lots to unpack in that. Yeah.
Sorry?
I was just saying lots to unpack in that.
Yeah, there is. You raised that thing about Maggie claims it's the easiest way to begin. Well, I mean, what if somebody tries vegan food, I want to come back to that phrase, and doesn't like it?
I think it's a really interesting point, this whole dietary aspect of veganism, because I think it is obviously, it's the most prominently talked about in the movement. It's the thing that people think most about, because it's the way that many people will, it's the most obvious relationship that we have with our fellow animals on a daily basis regularly. So it's actually the thing that people have the most agency over in a first instance, to change habits, a regular practice every day. So it seems like, yeah, that is the simplest thing. So everyone can make a choice. Everyone can choose who they're eating or not eating a few times a day. And yet it also brings with it so many obstacles because of the consumption in terms of eating and literal consumption of our fellow animals. That then brings with it the whole issue of health, survival. Then you've got the more cultural aspects, like, the social issues, eating out with your friends, eating with your family. You've got the traditions, Christmas dinner and all of that stuff that goes on, the kind of foods that culturally, people will eat. And then you've also got, the fact that you are going to be rejecting your culture. You are going to become quite alienated from the normal culture when you choose different things. And then there's the whole psychological aspect, perhaps, of you're not going to fit in anymore. You're going to be the one that stands out. You're going to be the odd one out. And so you're then creating that barrier. So there are so many things that come up with the dietary aspect of veganism that no wonder it's the one that gets most talked about. And like I said, it's the thing that is quite obvious, isn't it? That everyone does. Everyone consumes food every day. So
I think the mistake that she makes there is she's missing out the advocacy, because it's our job to show people that veganism is a philosophy, a justice-based philosophy. So even though people might want to talk about food, I think it's our job is to keep bringing them back to the philosophical side of it. And of course, and then during a conversation about food, you just introduce the fact that, well, once again, just a reminder, veganism is a philosophy based on justice, non-violence, peace, and this kind of stuff, the ultimate peace movement and all that, because people are okay about talking about those. If you want to get people to be defensive, then concentrate the talk on food, because they're instantly defensive. Whereas if you begin and keep going back to the idea that we're talking about justice here, we talk about peace, we talk about non-violence, those are values that most people agree with, but they have difficulty associating it with veganism. And I think, first of all, they don't want to, because it's kind of, well, oh, blimey, I'm in favor of those things, and that's what veganism is. I think there's resistance there, but it's the food that they want to talk about, and it's the food that they get defensive about. And I think then the skill of advocacy is to keep reminding them that veganism is bigger than that. you know, and it's to do with values that they probably already have. And I find on the street that works really well, you know. So.
I think you're right. People will be more inclined to have a more adult, open conversation when you're not challenging them on their daily habits. I think that's where people get stuck, isn't it? Because it's almost like you're saying everything you do every day and all your traditions and all the way you've been brought up and your family and everything you do, it's all wrong. It's all morally appalling. And that's, I think, where people do get that block and that barrier. And yet on the other side of that, so if you bring people into the bigger philosophy of peace, justice, and non-violence and respect for all sentient beings and all of that, eventually there will come that practical side of things, won't there? We will always end up getting back to that. Like, okay, so in order to, if I want to embody this philosophy, what do I have to do on a practical level? And we always will get back to the dietary aspects, because to be consistent, we need to change those. So it's kind of almost unavoidable. And I think definitely, I know in the abolitionist focus part of the movement, there's a real pushback against talking about food, for sure, which I totally get, and I totally understand where that comes from. I mean, like, yeah, we do not want to focus on food, but I think eventually, if someone doesn't focus on food,
I mean, like you said, it is there, and it's a central part of, you know, but the diet follows the philosophy, and so therefore we just have to talk about veganism in those terms, you know, because some people want to make the diet veganism, and that is wrong, and also there's no need for it, you know, because you can end up. We used to have a lot of trouble in Dublin with vegetarians, because we had the vegan cheese samples at the time, and we got a lot of vegetarians, quite a few, must be 15, 16 maybe, who said, "Oh, I tried vegan cheese before, it's horrible," right? And they almost like use that as a means to dismiss the whole of veganism, because 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, they disliked a sample of vegan cheese that they had, right? So the food thing can backfire as well, in the sense that if somebody goes, all right, let's try, you know, say for example, somebody, you know, goes to McDonald's and decides to try the McPlant.
Excuse me, what? McDeath? What do you not mean to say?
Yeah, Mac Slaughter, Mac Profits. The
McShite.
and say they didn't like it, right? Although, I mean, it's ironic. I think surveys suggest, even amongst flesh consumers, that they can't tell the difference, right? But as also, because a big part of this survey was what you were saying about the social side of it. And it was interesting because I had some discussions with a few people at Outreach and stuff, and some people were kind of dismissing the social side of it. And I think for some people, the social side is very, very important because of their personality. You know, in other words, there's no kind of water off a duck's back type. Oh, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, people don't like to stick out like a sore thumb, and even sociologically, we know that's true. We don't like to be different. So even if you've got a vegan who is willing to go with their mates to McDonald's, there's still gonna be something that's gonna point them out as different, because they're the only ones going to be there with the little green box, the McPlant. Everybody else has got whatever else there is. I don't even know, Big Mac or whatever. And so even then they're going to still be different. Now you might think, well, that's such a small thing, and yet for some people it's not. It's very meaningful that they don't want to stand out. And so lots of people say, and in this survey, they were saying that the social side of it is one of the kind of hardest things.
Yeah, it's very true, because like I was saying earlier, you are kind of a little bit, as a vegan, you are alienated from the normal culture, and you swim against the tide, and you know that can be quite difficult. And actually, in a lot of social psychology, and especially psychology research, I believe the majority of people like to be conservative with a small c, as in they like to be part of the norm, the majority. Not many people like to stand out and you know, be different in that way. And that's why I think we talk about like we don't need everyone to actually become a vegan in a way at first. We just need enough numbers that eventually other people start to go, this is more normal. And once it becomes more normalized, then more people will do it, because then you're more part of the majority and that kind of thing. So, you know, you get that trailblazer, and then, you know, all of that stuff, you kind of follow the crowd eventually. And that's what hopefully eventually will happen. People will just go, it's normal enough now that I don't stand out. So they're more open to it. But just going back to that whole food can backfire. I think on the last show, it might have been on the last show, or whether we just shared it in our group, there was a video. Do you remember there was a video, I think it was on LBC. I think it was on the show actually. And there was a vegan there and a non-vegan, and he was saying how vegan food, can't be fun. And she said, well, what food do you consider fun? And he was like, oh, beans on toast, chips. And she went, well, they're vegan foods. And he went, are they? You're telling me they're vegan foods? And it's that whole thing again of people's, you know, sort of the way they think about vegan food now, especially because of commercialization and this whole proliferation of so-called vegan actual products. People don't think that like all the plant foods that they eat are actually vegan friendly foods anyway, that a lot of what they already eat is vegan friendly food.
Do you think that we should not use that phrase, vegan food? Because I was talking to a few people about it. I prefer vegan friendly, but a lot of people didn't like that. I know Ronnie likes to use the phrase suitable for vegans. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I mean, whenever I see an anti-vegan or non-vegan say vegan food, my immediate thought is, what are they talking about? Because you know for a fact they're not talking about carrots and peas. Mm. And so inevitably, I suppose we can assume that whenever a non-vegan talks about vegan food, they're talking about the so-called alternative proteins, I think, which is how they're talked about now. You know, the vegan meats and all this kind of stuff, right? And so that's what it is. Yeah, I like vegan food. Yeah, that's my favorite one. But I did get quite a bit of pushback from other vegans on that, saying that they didn't like it.
I do use it, but I can understand. You know, it's always worth being open, I think, to having a discussion about these things and not just getting stuck in what you do. I think with language, we definitely need to be open to questioning it and evolving it. If we, you know, and I will definitely listen more to that argument. And I think suitable for vegans is a good one, actually. And that's often what it says on packets as well, isn't it? Suitable for vegans. Yeah, that's the
phrase. And so if you can imagine a situation where, for some reason, a non-vegan says to a vegan, is this vegan? You go, well, let me have a look. Yeah, this seems suitable for vegans. It seems vegan friendly. And it just shifts it a little bit, I think. And,
this is another one that I use as well. Jeremy is saying animal-free food. That's another one I use. I kind of, especially if I'm writing something, if I've already used like a plant-based diet or vegan-friendly, in order to like not keep repeating it. Sometimes I'll use this as well, animal-free food. I quite like that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, linguistically, we've got alternatives to saying vegan food. But it does trip off the tongue, though. You know, you were saying vegan food a few minutes ago. It just comes out.
It just like You have to almost like consciously say vegan friendly or suitable for vegans. It's not quite as
used to it, isn't it? It's like domestication or our fellow animals.
Yeah, it's just saying it all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but of course, yeah, and another good thing about that is I don't think that would cause confusion. Obviously, if you start talking on the street about domestication, that's going to lose the person you're talking about completely.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're talking about vegan friendly and suitable for vegans, I mean, they're just straightforward terms without using the dread vegan food. I almost wonder whether we ought to try and deliberately not use that phrase, because anti-vegans use it against us all the time. Vegan food is horrible and this kind of stuff. And when you then question them about it, they've never tried any plant-based foods because they're thinking about the vegan meats. Right?
Yeah, and vegan cheeses and plant-based milks and all that stuff. So yeah, the things that are coming packets rather than just the things that are grown.
Do you think there's less pushback on the milks now because they seem to be getting popular for a lot of people now, don't they?
Yeah, I think they are definitely. There seem to be a lot more plant milks around, which it's obviously not just for vegans. It's definitely, I think, other people who are into it now, probably due to lactose intolerance and also people just thinking about consuming less animal derived food, especially, so-called dairy, which I think is getting a lot of bad press lately, especially for the environmental impacts and things like that. So maybe it's environmentally conscious people as well might opt for plant milks in preference sometimes.
Have you got somebody trying to burst into your room there?
This is I've burst into Dylan's room. This is actually Dylan's room. He's got his own room. So last time I was in here, I shut the door so he couldn't come in, but I thought I can't do that in his own room. So he's in the corner, but he's moving about. He's just had a dream. He's been snoring. I don't know if you could hear him snoring, but he was snoring. He was having a dream and getting all shaky, and now he's just moving about a lot.
So let me go through a few of these points then. So what it was is I put a question on my Facebook about this kind of situation. Do you know anyone who is now label themselves ex-vegan, or they used to identify as vegan and they don't anymore, and this kind of stuff? And I was interested in that thing about other social justice things, but that didn't come up too much. And I said I don't want anybody being outed. So there's no names, and so most people kind of answered the question the way I asked it. One of the big talking points was that people claiming health as being the reason why they turned their back on plant-based eating, right? And so one person said most of the time it's for health reasons, and it's because even if it's not, this person was saying, they can't say, well, I no longer care about animal exploitation. So when they say health, you don't actually know whether to take them seriously or not, whether that's the real reason or not, right? And so they can say health, and it kind of, in a way, gets them off the hook. And especially when they add, and this came up quite a lot, doctors. A lot of people say, my doctor said, or I know somebody whose doctor said, and because somebody said, this fool believed them, kind of thing, and all that kind of stuff, and didn't think critically about that. And then some people reacted to this finding and said, well, okay, say it was true that there are some humans who absolutely need to eat products derived from our fellow animals. Then wouldn't they then start to think critically about that? For example, they would use ideas about least harm. And this person said, so would they then turn to things like roadkill or eggs from backyard hens, even though that's obviously exploited well? What about veganism? So people were suggesting that. The only thing about that is that none of those things are really very mainstream. But you know, if it was the case that we're moving towards a vegan society, and there was a subcategory of humans who absolutely had to have, you know, some products, then presumably the vegan community would have to figure out a way of dealing with them. Unless you just go, no, you know, kind of risk it for a vegan biscuit. I don't know. So, and then a lot of people were very skeptical about this. And one person said, yeah, well, you see them saying it's for health reasons. And then the next thing, they're posting videos of themselves eating ice cream and chips and all this kind of stuff. You know, the most unhealthy food they could get. And so they're saying, so I just don't buy it. Somebody said, I call bullshit on this or something. I'm not buying that. So someone, they knew someone who again said it was health, and so they incorporated some eggs, and they said maybe a few other things, which, well, I don't know what that means, but they kept mainly vegan-friendly food. So I wonder if that is common, whether people who feel that they've got a health thing, whether they then kind of try and keep it to the minimum. I mean, obviously, all that stuff that you said about the psychology and all that, about whether, you know, because a lot of people said, a lot of people claim health without going to a doctor. And asking anyone who might know questions. They just felt it. I don't feel healthy. And I think then that also plays into, you've got those ex-vegan videos sometimes. As soon as I had my first steak for 20 years, I felt brilliant and all that. Again, I don't know whether that is just kind of self-fulfilling prophecy there or something like that. So somebody said ethics are not always enough, and so it's difficult if people are actually feeling there's something wrong about my diet. Then we always say, you know, the evidence says that the people with an ethical reason tend to stay vegan, but it's not always enough. And then all these people who then said they abandoned plant-based eating because of what their doctor has said. Then I asked that thing about what about other social justice issues? And generally, although there wasn't many answers to this, but generally it was no. It was just the vegan thing, and it was just the vegan food. And some people said, I had a period of non-veganism, but I always kept with, you know, cruelty-free toiletries and clothing and stuff. In fact, I think that might have come up with one answer that you got, wasn't it, Wendy?
Yeah. So I've got because I know someone who because often with the whole ex-vegan narrative, often vegans, there's a lot of pushback from vegans, as we know, that will say if they're an ex-vegan, they were never a vegan in the first place. You know, there's that whole thing. Yeah. And I think in the past I would have kind of gone, yeah, that's probably true. And actually, the person that I know who is an ex-vegan now, and I met through activism and know quite well, from knowing that person, I had to shift my views on that, because this person was definitely a very unapologetic vegan, a very dedicated activist for about 5.5 years. But over that time, starting from quite early on, from about 6 weeks in, they started to feel unwell, but they you know, carried on. They just thought it was probably an adjustment to like living on animal-free food, and so they persevered. They were also very meticulous about getting the right amount of calories and the nutrients and everything. So they followed an app. So they were very, you know, counting their calories and making sure they got all the nutrients that were needed. They were tracking their food and everything. But gradually over time, their health was suffering, everything from kind of like muscular pain, joint pain, severe fatigue, changes to skin, changes to hair, changes to mood, libido, like pretty much, you know, everything, and just feeling really unwell. And I think they went to doctors as well for blood tests. Blood tests kept coming back as normal, but still they kept feeling unwell. And eventually they saw a vegan, funny this actually, it's quite ironic. They went to a vegan nutritionist, and the vegan nutritionist said, look, all the blood tests are coming back, your health is deteriorating. Even though I myself am also an ethical vegan, I feel that maybe you should start to introduce some basic, you know, some animal derived foods. But they still didn't. They didn't because they resisted it, because obviously it was very against their belief system and their values and everything like that. And they used to actually get very upset and depressed and you know, cry a lot about this because they felt so ill, and yet they were being told that probably become, you know, not being vegan anymore, they might feel well. But there was a real conflict there. But eventually,
what were they told they would get from the flesh?
Well, I don't know if it was anything specific. It was just more. I don't think there was specifics on you're going to get different nutrients or anything like that. I just think it was, well, you've tried everything. Also supplements as well. They were taking supplements as well, so it's not that they weren't very aware of everything they were eating and supplementing the things they needed to. So it was basically, blood tests are so fine, but you're not well, you're not eating. So all we can do is try not living on a plant-only diet. And so eventually, because they felt so wretched, that they did. And then they said a few days, they started to feel different. Within a couple of weeks, their symptoms were all but gone. And after a few months, they felt fully recovered. So obviously this is the only person that I've ever spoke to in such detail about this. So I've never come across all that before. Before I would have just thought, oh no, you know, plant nutrients are great for everyone. That's what the Dietary Society says, you know, the US one, the UK one says that.
Something to do with that particular individual or
psychosomatic?
I mean, how did you kind of hear it in the end?
Well, it's very hard, isn't it? Because none of us can entangle ourselves from our own being. You know, what our bodies are doing, what our, on a cellular level, what our psychology is doing, what our environment is doing. It's very hard to disentangle from that. So I don't think it's easy just to put your finger on it and go, oh, it must have been this. I think it's, you know, but I definitely know that this person isn't making it up and isn't just and also didn't take the decision lightly either. It wasn't like, oh, I can't be bothered now. It was, you know, really, really pushed to the limit. So sometimes maybe we just have to accept these people are, you know, it's true. I say, you know, at face value, they are genuine in what they're saying. That's probably not the case for everybody. You know, there maybe are other people.
It did actually come up in the survey because Duncan Gunn was saying virtually what you just said there. Now he was in the chat before. I don't know whether he's still there, but he was saying we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss them as kind of liars, as it were.
Yeah.
Because I do have a section on that because that came up a lot. They were never vegan in the first place, kind of thing. And another movement issue that came up a lot was people turning their back on veganism because of judgmental, cultish, or fundamentalist other vegans. And a lot of people also cited infighting. And somebody said, this is a quote, "Some leave because vegans being judgmental, cultish, or fundamental," which led to a conversation then about, okay, well, if that's true, you found vegans like that, behaving like that, why take it out on our fellow animals? You know, what have they done against you? It's the vegans that are doing all that. So, you know, so a lot of people were just dismissing that as well as not being a credible reason, because why would you? It's almost like, you know, one neighbor is you know, playing music all day, and so you go and punch another neighbor. I mean, it doesn't kind of make sense. Somebody said, I too had to separate myself from cultish, judgmental vegans. but why the hell would that mean I eat animals again? Like, so that came up quite a lot. That, yeah, okay, there are some difficult people in the movement, but that doesn't mean that you then turn your violence on our fellow animals. It just didn't compute for a lot of things. So infighting was a big one. One person said that vegans can be super fucking mean and harsh, and so that makes us think about the communication. And of course, we've talked about this a lot during our talks about language. And I do think that a lot of people are very bad about it. And even in this thread, there were some people who were bad at saying what they wanted to say, and they were even worse at comprehending what others were saying. For example, because they were answering my question, some people were saying, oh, well, this person went, stop being vegan because of this, that, and the other. And then other people started shouting at them as though they were talking about themselves. And they were going, no, I'm not talking about me. I'm answering the question. Right?
People are just ready for a fight, aren't they? This is the trouble, I think, is people are just, it's almost like it's just bubbling under the surface, ready. I'm ready for a fight. I'm just going to jump in whenever. They don't even really listen or take in the whole picture of what's been said and stuff. It's yeah.
I mean, there was some serious name calling going on, and some of it based on the fact that this person was just reporting things, not talking about themselves at all, unless they thought that they were talking about themselves, but they put it in the third person or something. Then you've got this no such thing as an ex-vegan. A lot of people said that, and that view itself was criticized for being cultish. And somebody also said, I never personally known anyone to quit veganism. I've seen celebrities do it. It definitely raises the question of if they were ever truly vegan. And so a lot of people were saying that they had difficulty in accepting that somebody could reject the property status and reject the idea that our fellow animals are food items, and then subsequently accept the fact. So it raises this issue about whether there's a lot of reluctant ex-vegans in the way that you were describing with the person who is who kind of it ended up being a very, very, very last resort, and they weren't happy about it, and presumably still not. I mean, do you know that part of their story? I mean, presumably they're still regretful, are they?
I think if they would have felt well, they would have not gone back. But having gone back, I think it's a bit. This person said to me that they're a bit all or nothing. So they felt like boycotting. The veganism was more of a boycott for them, and they saw it as a boycotting principle, which didn't actually. The boycotting itself doesn't actually have a material effect on the numbers of fellow animals that are being exploited, oppressed, used, commodified. And so, and also because of the fear of their health, they did not want to mess around going, well, I'm just going to eat a little bit of this or this. It's like, now I'm just consuming everyone or every type of animal derived food in order to save my health, because I'm too fearful to go back or to experiment. I never want to go back there. And now that I'm doing this, it seems like, what's the point of not eating this type of animal derived food when I'm actually eating this one? So it's almost like, in principle, they said they still believe in the vegan philosophy, but there's conflict because of the health thing for them, and also, sorry, where was I on that thread? Yeah, so there's a conflict there, but it also seems contradictory of themselves if they do one thing and not the other, etc.
Yeah, but you'd expect people, even if they don't want to, you'd expect them to get suckered into the welfare stuff and say, well, it's got to be free range then, or it's got to be this, and in other words, there might be versions of something. Now, obviously, from an ethical point of view, it's all the same to us. But if you were forced to, I mean, some person might say, well, I don't know, I'll eat snails. You know, they're trying to work out. They're trying to work out, you know, sentient beings who are less sentient than others, or something like that. You know, those arguments from the 1980s about whether oysters were sentient, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And so you imagine they might have got into that a little bit. Tell you what came up in the survey as such was a lot of people said that they know people who have dropped back into vegetarianism or pescatarianism, and they also know people who've done that, but they hide it as well, and so they either carry on campaigning even, or if a vegan asks them, they'll deny that they've dropped back, as it were, to vegetarianism. And so that is quite weird. Somebody just said very bluntly that they think that there's a heck of a lot of people identifying as vegan at some point, and they weren't vegan at all, ever. And so this complicates things, you know. And they clarified that by saying many vegans think, this is a quote, think veganism is either a diet, a lifestyle, or about reducing suffering, a stance against cruelty and abuse, a pragmatic stance aimed for least harm, or a combination of these. And then one person, this is a bit amusing really, one person said that they behave like the vegan police. Apparently if they visit people, they're checking their fridges. But they said that because of that, they've found out that, well, they concluded that a lot of vegans cheat. So whether we're into Leonard territory there is an interesting one, because it's almost building in cheating on purpose, you know, to take the stigma out of it. And then, as I said to you before we started in the message, someone was complaining that some vegans had argued with her about whether Ghislaine Maxwell was vegan or not.
Oh God!
And so they were upset by people saying that she can't be vegan. Look at what she's done, right?
Look at her behaviour. Yeah.
So that was really weird.
Because also,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, all the things that we're talking about here is again coming back to veganism in its dietary form. We're not really talking about much else, are we? It's all about who people are eating or not eating.
It came back always.
It all comes back to that, yeah.
It's almost like, you know, when people say ex-vegan, they immediately think someone who's now eating fellow animals, not somebody who's had a philosophical shift.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could say an ex-Marxist, couldn't you? And people would go, they no longer agree with Marxist.
They no longer agree with that. Yeah. And I think and again, just going back to this person, I think the health and then the shift in the dietary practice has also led to a little bit of a shift of philosophy as well, because they did, when I asked about would there be other things that you might take part in other than consumption, like, you know, purchasing something made out of animal skin or you know, products tested on fellow animals, they said that out of habit at the moment they're not, but that they would consider it. So that's a massive philosophical shift as well, isn't it? So actually the habit and the practice and the pragmatic things has led to a shift in values, possibly in philosophy, I would say. And maybe that happens for others as well, is that almost once you're consuming our fellow animals, that is a massive relationship shift from you to them, isn't it? So then therefore, you know, you just see that relationship is just different. It's one then again of consumption, commodification, as opposed to an equal being with that you respect and hold as an equal, I guess.
Yes. The issue
I do wonder if there's a time. I know we didn't know this in the questions, but I wonder if there's like a length aspect to this. Like if you've been vegan for like longer than a certain length of time, would it be hard?
I didn't think of asking that. Yeah,
because it might have been interesting to see that.
Long-term vegans commenting about people that they'd known.
Yeah, so there's a different maybe mindset there.
Yeah,
possibly.
So, yeah, and I also think that, of course, because they're long-term vegan, they've got a longer period to know people who are now ex-vegans, I suppose. So there is that. Burnout came up a lot, and disillusionment of feeling we're not going to win, type of thing. But again, that just raised a load of people coming back in and said, "Yeah, well, okay, if you burn out, why take it out on our fellow animals? Okay, doesn't make sense, right?" And so they were thinking, well, a lot of people could understand burnout, and for some of the reasons that we've said, the so-called bullying that goes on in the movement and this kind of stuff. But even so, what they just then expect is for people then to be a plant-based eater who's not campaigning. But to burn out because you feel as though you're not getting anywhere with a campaign seems a bit odd then, to then going back to, say, eating animal flesh. It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, that again, there was a lot of people just going, I'm not sure that a lot of these things that ex-vegans say can be true, because half of them don't make any sense to them. One person said, in fact, I think it might have been two, said that they think that people drop out of the movement because they're being rushed by other activists.
Rushed in what way? Rushed?
Well, like, for example, they might say, I'm getting there, or they might start using percentages, or, well, I've gone vegetarian for the last 3 months, and now I'm thinking, and all that, and then people pile in, and then it's almost like that. Oh, well, bugger it then, if you're not, because in some ways that people want validation or taking their baby steps that they have taken.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe the movement is, I mean, it's an interesting question. Should you validate that? Because our instinct is to not, I mean, there's an Indian guy who came up to our outreach on Saturday talking about, he's a vegan. He was talking about all the vegetarians that he meets back in India. And I said, yeah, well, we always say, if you meet a vegetarian, you can always say there's a cure for that. And so we had a bit of a laugh, which is what we always used to do. People would come up and go, oh, I'm a vegetarian, expecting people to go, yay, pat you on your back. And we go, oh, well, there's a cure for that. But whether that's the right thing to do is debatable when you think about it.
Yeah, and that goes kind of ties in with the other topic, doesn't it? The imperfect vegans, because in a way there's a lot of push now within the movement to be more vegan-ish and less pure and more imperfect, and actually lessen the strictness of the entry code to veganism, so that people feel
cater for these people.
To cater for these people, who feel like they need to take their time, and they want to get there, but they're still at the vegetarian stage, but they want to consider themselves vegan, but vegan except for cheese, or those kind of things. And obviously within the movement, I suppose, especially I would say long-term vegans, but actually newer vegans just as much so, in fact sometimes more, they're more full of rage. It's like, no, you are not allowed, this is not allowed. And also then you do get that issue of, well, if you're going to bring people into the movement, but a watered down version of veganism, if we're going to say, okay, veganism stands for this, but within the dietary aspect of veganism, you are, for a while, take your time to do this and transition. Is that then even veganism anymore? Because then there is, again, like I was saying, once you're consuming fellow animals, the whole relationship is different. Have you actually embodied the rejection of the status of inferior, commodified other if you're still seeing that person as food, because it's a real shift, I think, mentally and psychologically to have a different relationship like that.
But I mean, I think Ronnie makes this point that in a way, when he became vegan, all the vegans were a bit weird. But he thought in a bit of a way you kind of had to be to have the wherewithal, or whatever you might want to call it, to stand outside of the herd, as it were. Because one thing we know sociologically is that human beings are conformists. We always make strident claims about our individuality, but actually we like being in groups, and we like being with people who think and talk like ourselves. Yeah, I put that up a while ago.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, the last category.
Did you put that one up?
Is the social side. No, I didn't do that one. Is the social side of it. Eating out was claimed as a big issue that had a big impact on people. And then there was a sad part of this survey. Quite a few people said that they felt isolated and very, very lonely as a vegan. In fact, somebody posted this to describe the situation. So it's
quite powerful, actually. I quite relate to them.
That's right. And so they posted that, and but they actually wrote it a couple of times and saying, I live in the Bible Belt. There's not many people who think like me, and I'm just very, very lonely as a vegan. Because that's why I sent that message to you about the vegan social club idea, about whether we as a vegan community could create Zoom talks.
Like we used to, actually. That's how this started, wasn't it? It was on Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom sessions where people can just chat. Nothing big and heavy going on.
Yeah.
There you're going to get people then who can actually be with other vegans, at least virtually.
And I think because when we were talking about that ages ago, actually, weren't we, as well? And we're saying how it might be nice that people can actually just share their experience as well, because I think, especially if you are a vegan living among lots of non-vegans, whether it's your family, friends, your community generally, people you work with, all that stuff, often you just don't get to share things in the way, you're dealing with so much internally, like how it feels just to walk down the aisles of the supermarket, and be constantly feeling emotional or upset, or having to push that down, and push it aside, or everything that you come across, every billboard, every TV program, you're constantly reminded of the atrocities and injustice that's happening every second of every day. And we don't often get to share that, because no one wants to hear from the moany, grumbly, angry, upset, emotional vegan all the time. But maybe vegans need that space to just share that kind of stuff, Well,
for me, you should say that. One person, this is a quote, "I want friends to at least ask me about veganism or animal rights. And I personally find that I think it's really good what you are doing," line, to be very patronizing, they said. So they don't want to be praised, but they want people to ask questions of them.
And it doesn't happen.
Their attitude was the least they can do is ask about it.
But people, in my experience, my non-vegan people do not ever want to talk about it at all. Like they don't. Like I can even say, "Oh, I've just done this podcast. Oh, I'm just doing this speech up in London. Oh, I've just done this and blah blah blah. Oh, by the way, this is happening. I'm doing it." It's tumbleweeds. Let's move on. No one even makes a comment, asks a question, takes an interest, because I think it's maybe out of their world of interest. Also, maybe they don't want to be confronted by it. I just find there's no, in my life, there's none of that whatsoever. No, not even curiosity about it. I don't know how other people feel here, if you have people in your life, non-vegans, who are curious and take an interest, but I definitely don't.
Yeah, Carolyn is talking about the Correspondence Bureau. They had some fairly good initiatives, the pioneers.
That's really good, isn't it?
You know, yeah, and so yeah, I mean, Carolyn at the moment is doing a brilliant job going through the old copies of the Vegan in much more detail than I or Andy had chance to do. You know, when we were doing 3 shows a week, kind of thing. So so she's finding all kinds of stuff, which is really fascinating. And not least, there seems to be there was some kind of ruction. Just as Leslie Cross was stopping writing, there seemed to be somebody who came in out of nowhere and caused lots of trouble in the movement, and it seemed really weird. So we're trying to look at that. We're just getting little kind of hints of it. So you've got this person. This is almost the end now. That person who says, I want people to ask me. Other people don't want to be asked anything. They don't want to ask any questions. And of course, especially not at the dining table, which makes sense. I mean, lots of vegans have said that's not the place to have a conversation about veganism. Although, again, make emphasis on the diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a lot of people in the survey, because I ended up with 45 pages of responses.
Yeah, it's a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, this is just a summary, and it's still 5 pages. And a lot of people refuse to eat with non-vegans, or they try not to eat with non-vegans. Another person said something which is interesting, was that if they're going to eat with non-vegans, and normally the non-vegans will either eat vegan with them, or they'll go to a place where they can. They'll make sure another vegan goes as well, so they're not the only one. So that's an interesting strategy, I think.
Yeah.
And then some of it got a bit weird. This again on the social side of it, and relationships came up a lot. One person said that they knew one ex-vegan who abandoned veganism after taking up yoga. Yeah, and that was the reaction of everybody else.
What?
Yeah.
You're like,
and in the end, it meant that they gained a lot of non-vegan friends. So the change in your social,
I see.
Yeah, changes
Right.
things.
Yeah.
And so relationships become a big issue, especially when somebody starts to date a non-vegan. And many respondents said that they know a lot of people who suddenly they weren't the same in vegan terms. They weren't as committed. They just they were kind of slowly moving away, kind of thing, from ethical veganism. And then you had a gendered thing where some said that women in particular were often expected to cook multiple meals because the different people in the household, and then eventually they found it too hard and returned to flesh consumption, which is the hardest part of it. I know that some people are going to respond and say, well, if you want to eat flesh, you bloody well cook it yourself, mate, kind of thing, But there's obviously that issue of because somebody did raise. I didn't use it in my summary, just from memory. Somebody was saying that they were in an abusive relationship, and that then meant that that they had some trouble. Now we've got Nella in the green room.
Oh yeah.
So Nella, are you ready to come on, or can you hear us? I think she might be setting up. She's frozen now, I think.
I was going to say she might struggle if she's on her phone, might she?
Well, we might as well work her out before we think. So that was what we got. The big emphasis on food, as expected, I suppose, and quite a lot of people who were skeptical, and others saying no, we take them at the word and this kind of stuff. So
yeah. just quite a few comments on whether people get interaction on their veganism and activism and things. I think just going back to, I think Deb was agreeing with what I was saying, basically people not taking an interest. Same here. And then Jeremy was saying that he had close friends tell me not to talk about animal advocacy too much, and knew that their friendship.
Jeremy doesn't have close friends.
Well, he doesn't now. He's buggered them out of it. They weren't actually friends with who I am, which is so true, because you know there is that point of, if they don't accept this part of me, which is who I am, then are they really my friend? You know, you have to start looking at that. Face It is saying there's a vegan Reddit community, probably some groups on Discord if you need to feel connected. Also plant-based camp out. Plant-based camp out. Yeah. Jeremy, being vegan gives my strength as well, says Deb. And Carolyn, yes, I find that many non-vegans don't want to discuss veganism. Yeah, and even people in your life. It's very true, isn't it? So yeah, is Nella gone again? I think we've lost Nella again anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a shame.
She's having trouble.
She was obviously in a car, so so she must be right there by the fires. I would think. Although they did say that they've got to park a good way. Because the heat is so intense. So I think.
Yeah, I imagine it would be.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, I mean, we're getting this problem in Ireland, with Canada, Greece, France, I think, lots of different places.
Yeah,
can you hear us?
And in Suffolk, in the UK as well, has just had a massive fire as well.
Nella looks like she's really struggling. I'm not going to bring her on at the moment.
And I've had 4 friends actively try to tempt me back to eat dairy. It's very sad. Yeah, like Mr. Nicotine. You remember that? You remember those adverts where they used to come out, have a cigarette, little one. It's a bit like that, isn't it? It's like trying to get you to do something, and it always makes you wonder about that mentality of people where, or if you go out for a drink and you don't drink, and it's like, oh, go on, have a drink, just one. You think, why does me drinking make you happier? But there is that element of that, isn't it? Like people trying to draw you into their vices and their immorality and whatever.
This once. So Nella, can you hear us?
If she can hear us, we can't hear her, can we?
I just wanted to get a nod to bring her on. If you're ready to come on, Nella, just nod.
Or give us a thumbs up or something.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
But I don't. Can we hear her when she's on? Not in there, obviously.
No, not now, but you can when.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, Nella.
Okay.
Hi, Nella.
Hi everyone. I'm really sorry I cannot be with you and for canceling at the 11th hour, but the situation here is grim, and we were called back at the fire. They need volunteers, rescuers, vets. So
yeah, well, we didn't think it was gonna.
We had a feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Connection wouldn't be great.
Yeah. But the weird thing is she's still there, but not
yeah, it might be like connection. I don't know how connections survive in those fires anyway. I mean, it must be,
Yes. Okay. Well. Yeah.
Jeremy says he's got a whole sanctuary full of friends now. Thank you very much, Roger.
Indeed. Yeah, but I don't know. You see, I'd even have to ask them in advance before I'd agree with that. So, are you friends with Jeremy, or is he a pain in the arse like he is with us humans? But given Jeremy's point, actually, I personally keep non-vegans at arm's length. So even the ones that I'm friendly with, I'm not very. And like when I used to play football, I mean, at one point when I was in Wales, I used to play football 3 times a week. But I would never go to the Christmas party, and I would never, if things came up, I wouldn't do it, because I kind of had this feeling that the more I get to know them, the more I'm not going to like them. So I thought there's no point in taking the risk almost, So I kind of, and I wonder whether that is a strategy that vegans use quite a lot. I mean, have you got very close non-vegan friends, Wendy?
That's a really good question. I guess, yeah, it's a funny one because, yeah, I'd say yes, but there's always an element of where I feel I can't show you too much of that side of my life. So it's like, it's almost compartmentalized in a way, if that makes sense. Close in some ways, but not in a holistic way, I guess, in that way.
And do you talk openly about veganism, or do you keep it quiet?
Well, it's not that I hide it or anything. It's, you know, I will say things, but it's like I said, it will just fall on. It will fall silent. There won't be a follow-up question. There won't be curiosity. There won't be, just no further engagement on it. So then it's like, okay, let's move on. Not moving swiftly on.
I find the people in my compound, they forget.
Do they?
Yeah, and so. So I met somebody on the way out about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they started telling me about, we went to so-and-so with his new girlfriend. I mean, I think he's in his 70s. And he said they have a great, I don't know, is it kind of like, I think it's all flesh-based thing. There's a name for it, isn't there? You know, like the layout of it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, they said they got one of those. And I said, well, obviously, it's not for me then. And he goes, why not? And then he went, oh yeah. So, you know.
Flesh, what do you mean? Like a buffet?
Yeah, platters. There's a name for it, isn't it?
Oh, platter,
carvery, I think. Carvery.
Carvery, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They said that they got a great carvery. And I said, well, you know, it wouldn't be the first on my list then, would it? Kind of thing. Are you ready again, Nella? Right.
Okay, sorry for that. It's kind of hard to coordinate with all these people who want to help. And I'm going to ask you how is the situation in Ireland right now, because you had fires there too.
Yeah, the last I heard was that some of the fires was getting close to human homes, and so a big team of people got together very quickly, and they started digging ditches in order to create fire breaks and stuff. And of course, the vegan inside me immediately thinks, well, you know, it's not a problem if only our fellow animals' homes are being burnt out. It's when a human habitation, So it seems to maybe have died down. The weather.
Different ways of thinking.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of rain, but it's very light. It's drizzly, but that will help.
Oh, hope we had. Yeah, rain helps though. I hope we had it today here. This is
fires here in the UK as well, Nella. We've had fires, like there's a massive fire.
Really?
Like, yeah. They were saying there were, even this was a couple of days ago, they were saying there's like 200 football pitches in this one area in Suffolk, and it's close to an RSPB nature reserve, and there's a lot of rare species of birds and butterflies and insects there that's obviously just going to take generations to be able to recover, not to mention all the forests and the trees. So yeah, and I know it's really bad where you are, and it just seems to be so widespread in Europe at the moment.
Oh my God, yes, it is. Europe is in a really, really bad state. This fire we're heading at is defined as a mega fire because it is unstoppable. It burns for days now, huge areas. From different directions. There have been 5 dead firefighters. I know that animal rescuers were trapped for 3 hours 2 days ago, but thankfully they were saved. And it's really bad. And the thing is that most people have compassion for cats and dogs, and they are bringing them to the rescue center. It's more difficult. It's okay for wild animals. If they see them in distress, we are trying to help them. The worst case scenario is always for the so-called farmed animals. They've been so many illegal enclosures, and the shepherds don't want the volunteers to rescue the animals. They want them to die in the fire so they can collect the money later. And this is a huge problem. I don't know if it is specific to the country. I assume there are not so many illegal such structures in the UK. But it's a struggle. It is a struggle, and where there are farm animals, it's so difficult to rescue them, because if you have, I don't know, 50 goats, where you can put them? So it's a struggle. It's very hard to evacuate. I think that this night is going to be really long. Right now I'm a really good animal rescuer. He's a vet too. He's here. He's saying hello. He's driving.
Hey.
And they say hello back. And we're heading to the field.
Oh, God.
And I'm so sorry for cancelling at the last minute, but it was imperative to go back.
You need to worry about. Don't worry about. Are you still on the run from the police, Nella?
Do hope so.
we haven't heard anything, so that's good news.
Right.
Yeah, well, stay safe, and
flashing lights in the back window.
At the end, they are not really looking for us, so nothing to accuse us for. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's just such a horrendous, tragic situation all around, isn't it? Like you just do your best, but like you say, where do you then put the rescues if you get them? And
Jeremy can take 50 goats, Nella. So if you can get a boat together,
if you can get them, yeah,
that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, so difficult.
I'll have to go soon, because we are arriving at the first aid center, and I hope I have good news to share tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for checking in with us, Nella. You're a hero.
I'm not. There are so many people that are doing so much. I cannot. I'll do it some other time. But 2 days ago, we had to go through fire, and there were these people who were so brave, and they ran to this house, almost burning house, to evacuate a dog. There are so many brave people out there. I mean, no. And it's very clear now more than ever that all we have is each other. Solidarity is the only thing we have.
Yeah, we were kind of just talking about that, funnily enough, in terms of vegans sticking together and having a space to come and be vegan, like wholly vegan, and express and share our experiences. And obviously this is part of it, and how we all collectively feel with, even though we're not there with you, we are with you in spirit, and also the collective sorrow,
energy
that we all feel about this situation with our fellow animals, and what's happening to their homes and their resources and their lives. And it's all you can think about, really, most of the time. So stay safe now that everyone's sending you their love and their strength.
Thank you. I'm sending you all love. I really appreciate the fact that you're there for me. Love you all.
Lots of love, Nella. You take care. Stay safe. Keep in touch. Let us know how you get on.
Of course. I'll message you when I get home.
Yeah.
Take good care.
And lay low from the blue lights.
Thank you. Always. Bye.
Now, we're over time anyway, Wendy. So what do you want to do?
Are we? We're well at the time, aren't we? There was only, I think, one. We kind of covered the ex-vegan quite a lot. We didn't touch on the ex-activist as much, I don't think, because we were going to talk like why activism is on the decline as well. I just had a few responses from people that I reached out to for that, and overall, generally, there were I think one person who was a very dedicated activist was doing like lots of things like marching, protesting, also lots of vegan outreaching, but questioned how tangible an effect that was having. So they got more into direct action, and because they were feeling that that maybe is the only thing for them that was making an actual difference. But then they were getting into situations where it's leading down a risky path, situations and company leading down a risky path, and they had some close calls. And then due to like fear of getting caught and also the health thing, this was the same person as before, the failing health, they stepped away from activism and veganism pretty much around the same time, I believe. Other reasons for stepping away from activism were burnout came up a lot, which I know it did for the ex-veganism as well. Burnout, also due to taking part in the activism, that they started to hate humanity. And so that became an issue for them. And health, relationships played a part as well, and they decided to pull out to live what they call a normal life, obviously because they didn't feel like they were able to live a normal life. And then there were others saying that activism was emotionally exhausting, it took a lot of time and effort, and then maybe they didn't feel it was as effective as they had once believed. And now they did a lot of volunteering for school talks, but have had to stop that due to a new job. But they would go back to that, but that's probably the only form of activism they would do, because that's the only one they feel really comfortable with and that they're good at and that would maybe have some kind of effect. So and also I think a general feeling was that people are enthusiastic when they first start, and it's a new experience getting into veganism, getting into activism, but then maybe that wears away after time. And I think we're talking a few years with that as well.
Wears a bit thin. Actually, I knew somebody in Dublin. We started because we had two groups that did school talks, and the first one it's called a trust, and this guy who co-founded it with me was saying that he'd kind of given up on speaking to adults. He thought that they were way too set in their ways, and the only hope for progress was to talk to kids while they're still relatively open to new ideas and stuff like that. He had that view very strongly.
Well, that's something that I've been really toying with as well. So I've actually put myself down as well to do to volunteer as a school talker. So yeah, it's that same thing as what you were just saying about that person, is that feeling of, also my situation's changed in terms of how much street outreach I can get out and do now. Whereas if it's random school talks, it's probably easier to organize. So for me, that might fit doing outreach in a different way, and actually getting to younger minds who are still more sponge-like and not set in their ways and open to maybe having seeds sown, which I think adults are often very much socialized.
Keep the kids quiet.
That would be hilarious. But if they value their arms, I don't know so much. No, yeah. So yeah, no, I kind of agree with that, and it's interesting, isn't it, to just think about all these things. And what's interesting actually about that whole activism thing is how people were saying they don't feel like what they were doing was effective, or didn't make a tangible difference. But I suppose at this stage of things, we don't really know. We don't really know what's tangible and what isn't. Do you know what I mean? At this point in the movement, which is still so in its infancy, really, we don't know.
We were speaking about a recent podcast from our hen house, and very difficult to say as a Yorkshire person.
What, the hen house?
Yes, too many H's. And,
too many H's.
And they were saying they were put in the last peak at about 2016, and that we're on a downward slope. But then social movement theory does suggest that movements do that. They go in peaks and troughs, and maybe we're just heading for or in a bit of a trough.
Yeah,
they were. I think some of their analysis was interesting, but also a little bit faulty, because they were talking about the what was happening with Beyond Meat and Impossible Meats and this kind of stuff, right? And they were judging things in terms of the movement based on their fortunes or otherwise. Whereas I think the problem with those companies is just that capitalism has found its level. Companies and supermarkets came into the market. The vegan.
So I'm struggling to hear you because
yes, I know,
this fella here is so loud. Like, you probably can't even hear how loud he is. I might have to shut him out of his room. So sorry. Sorry, Dylan. sorry, Dylan. It's just you're a little bit loud. I'm so sorry.
The dog.
It's like you can't shut me out of my own room.
Can we, all right, I don't have that. I don't, like I used to show that sometimes.
The Brian show. Oh, little Brian.
And then we had that. I don't have a Dylan.
You haven't got a Dylan one. That needs to be rectified immediately.
Yeah,
D-dog.
blowing in the wind. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I missed a little bit of what you were saying there. Sorry, Roger. You were talking about the problematic.
Yeah, well, they were judging on the fortunes of these kind of vegan-based companies, and but it could just be that people are feeling a little bit burnt out and a little bit of that thing. You remember I always said that in '82, somebody at the BUAV had said that we are going to have won in 10 years, and the feeling was that she was right. Nobody said it's going to take a bit longer than that, mate. None of that. It was right, because it felt, like everything was happening. I mean, there was multiple ALF things per night in those days, and there's lots of stuff going on. And people thought, yeah, it will. And maybe we're on another dip.
Yeah. Because also I think at the time, so maybe around maybe 8 years ago, there seemed to be a big influx, a big rise in veganism, a proliferation of so-called products suitable for vegans, animal-free products. And
you mean vegan food, Wendy?
No, not vegan food. Do you know what? I don't really say. It's funny that I was saying that because I try not to say that. I'm quite careful of that. But you're right. Sometimes it just rolls off the tongue. Yeah. But I believe that a lot of those activists at that time, and then doing there was a big rise in kind of vegan outreach and the likes of AV and Cubes, and then more similar kind of groups as well. And a lot of those people were definitely very positive and really saying, like, this is it now. Like, veganism is on the rise. We're getting there. We're going to win. And I think they genuinely thought that. And there was a lot of enthusiasm within the movement. And I think it's very telling that, a few years later, when they're thinking, well, nothing's changing, numbers of oppressed individuals are actually rising. Even like other animals who are being tested on, that's rising. Consumption of fellow animals is rising, and then wars are happening more so. Then, of course, the Mango Mussolini, thank you, Philip, for that one, is in power twice. And it just seems like there's a massive shift going on in the world a little bit, like politically, socially, economically, all of it. Yeah. And now it definitely feels like a downturn. And then a lot of people have, rather than going, right, we need to ride this out, it doesn't work.
Remember how people used to feel bad about Thatcher being in power, but I mean, now it's worse than that.
Try telling Dylan animals are voiceless. Yeah, I know. You need your earplugs in when he's on his mission. I tell you. He's so
indeed. Right. So should we wrap up or what?
Yeah. Or what? Yeah. No, we can definitely wrap up unless anyone's got anything to ask us. Say before we end. Any burning questions or issues? The numbers could be rising faster, though. If we weren't doing what we're doing, every bit helps, even if you do not win. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, Roger, you've been at this a long, long time. I've been at this not as long as you, but still quite a long time. Most of my life in some way or another doing different forms of activism. And I think it's But I don't really look for the win, I suppose. Maybe that's part of what we've talked about before, is not looking for a win, just kind of feeling that this is just what you do and you just keep going. For me, that's how I feel. It's just I feel this way about the world and about fellow animals and about justice. So it's just what I do, and I just keep doing it, and that's my life.
Yeah,
and that's
something yesterday from Seb Alex, who said that it's not about it's about the fight. It's not about the win. And also, I think that I think the reason that we've got a movement which is all skewed in my view, as you know, is because the wins are so important, you know, psychologically to a lot of people, and of course, important to the national corporations in particular. And so that's what pushes the welfare stuff, the short campaigns, and then relaunch another one. We need more donations. You know, another investigation. We need more donations. This kind of thing. So, if we count, you know, people adopting the philosophy of veganism as a win, but I think we said last time we were on that the problem with that is you can't measure it too well.
No, you can't measure it.
No, and it's that thing about, we all talk about planting seeds, but it's almost like we're a gardener. We plant seeds and then we bugger off from the garden, so we never see whether they germinate or not. We don't know, unless you get some forms of feedback, which I think everybody's got that. You know, we've had it in Dublin. I think everybody's probably got some. Oh, you know, you influenced me to go vegan and this kind of stuff. But it's still not that tangible, is it? You know. So,
No, and it's like any project. You know, I heard someone talking about some kind of rewilding project the other day, and they were saying everything that we're doing now in this project, like whether we're planting actual seeds and letting things come to life, we will not see the fruition of this. That'll happen a few generations time, and we know that, and that's fine. But we know that we're doing the groundwork, and then people will build on that. And I suppose in a way we have to have that kind of mentality, don't we? That we lay the groundwork in what we can do, and maybe we're limited at the moment in what we can do and how many seeds we can plant and how many people we can convert to live vegan and all that stuff. But yet we have to just keep doing it, because one day some of those seeds will germinate in a way we might not even anticipate. As that's the thing as well, you can't plan exactly how it's going to look for every little thing and what the winds will look like. Maybe they'll look completely different, and things will happen by accident or by catastrophe or because something will shift that we can't even predict, and that will have a ripple effect out there that we can't predict for at all. And so we just keep laying the groundwork, laying the bricks.
All of those things, you know, like you say, you just got to keep going. And on the times when I get pessimistic, I keep telling myself, well, you could be wrong, so you just carry on, you know. So that's the only thing you can do, really.
Yeah. And what option is there? I think, you know, some people will pull out and some people will do something different, but I think there are just some people who won't, and I think you're one of them. I feel that I'm one of them. Who knows? I mean, I've kind of had moments of burnout up and down, but you just kind of take breaks and come back. I never feel like, oh, I'm gone now. I always feel like, oh, I just need a little bit of rest maybe for a while, but I'll do something different, or I'll come back and do that, you know. So it's just trying to.
Here's a very 1960s quote. You can't measure love either. It doesn't mean we should stop loving. Very good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Our best friend, Mr. Yurovsky, has called for a mass cull of humans. So he's ramped up his. I
didn't see that though. Oh,
yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. What was I gonna? Oh, I thought I saw something there. I can't read their comments too well.
And I don't know how to respond when Jeremy says nice things related to me. It seems wrong.
That's how we measure love from Jeremy when he takes the pig.
Yeah, it's
big love, isn't it? Isn't it?
Love meter. That's right.
isn't it? A lot of organisations lack strategy or are corrupted by their need for funding. Yes, they lead to their values getting chipped away at and compromises are made. Yeah, actually, you wrote a chapter talking about all of that as well, didn't you? About this kind of stuff, what you were just talking about.
Lack strategy, yes. Well, yeah. But I mean, I think there is a philosophical, but also a funding problem with the movement. You know, and I think that one thing that's affected the vegan movement is all the things that we've talked about. Most people in it probably don't know what veganism is. There's a lot of people, for some reason, and I can never figure this, is why people who are not vegan, clearly not vegan, they demonstrate it every time they give a speech, why they want to be called vegan. And you said something really interesting, vegan except for cheese, right? You said, and there's a lot of that on TikTok and Instagram. Why don't they just say vegetarian? You're muted, I think, Wendy. You're muted.
Oh, yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Because it's almost like you don't want to be seen as a vegetarian. You want to be seen as a vegan who's just has these little lapses now and again. Is that because you're seeing vegan as more righteous in some way, or more pure, or superior? Because it's funny, because in society, I think people accept vegetarians much more than they would accept vegans. I think they'd see vegetarians as like, oh, you're a little bit more normal, whereas vegans, it's like, oh, you're extreme. So it's odd, isn't it, that people would still have that aspiration.
In terms of social acceptance, unless we're going back to, I don't know, vegetarians got long hair and that they wear sandals or some kind of stereotype. But in terms of social acceptance, I'm a vegetarian must be better than I'm a vegan.
We should take that clip, just that clip of Roger saying, I'm a vegetarian. Send it viral. Sorry, go on. Sorry, no, I just can't resist that.
Yeah.
No, so go on. Sorry, they're saying.
Somebody's going to clip that out now. You give them the idea.
Oh, you know who it'll be as well.
Yeah,
you know who it'll be.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. I interrupted.
In about half an hour, I imagine. So,
what were you saying?
I was just saying, I'm a vegetarian. Must sound more normal than I'm a vegan, except
I'm sure it was. Yeah, it would. People would be like, oh yeah, you're a veggie, yeah. Oh, my daughter's a veggie. My husband's just gone veggie. I went veggie. It's.
And they could get away with that language too. They don't even have to say vegetarian. So oh yeah, I'm a veggie. Kind of, I mean, it's totally inoffensive, really.
So, in order to promote veganism, it would be wise to frame it from a climate perspective initially, because people are mostly concerned. Yeah, see, this is an interesting one actually, because there are people who talk about, there's the whole vegan for health, vegan for environment, and then vegan for the animals. There's almost those three, and animals are usually put on the third down the list, aren't they? So health, climate, etc. And yet there's a lot of pushback, I guess, within the movement to say it's not about health and it's not about environment, whereas it definitely is about environment in a way. It is part of the scope. Health, of course, we've talked about. There's definitely the dietary aspect of veganism will bring that obstacle of health.
You know what, though, just before I lose that point, it was, for the pioneers, it was about health, but it was about psychic health, mental health. Like
spiritual health,
they thought that a vegan society would be really healthy spiritually, and in terms of not being the oppressor and this kind of stuff. I mean, Leslie Clark said at one point a kind of strange thing at first. He said in every slave master relationship, it's the master who suffers the most. Now, obviously, we tend to think that doesn't make sense, right? I think he means suffers morally the most.
Yeah.
That by being a master, you become corrupt, morally corrupt. And so that was part of their thing about the moral evolution of humanity. They thought they thought veganism would genuinely save humanity. And Cross wrote it, you know, we will benefit, you know, obviously our fellow animals will benefit, but we would benefit physically and mentally. We would free ourselves. He talked about things like lower natures and our crude selves, and you know, that kind of thing. We've allowed ourselves to debase ourselves. Lots of the pioneers wrote in those terms, you know, that we've allowed ourselves. But going back to this one, this is Kathleen Janaway. That's what she decided to do. That's why she started.
She talked a lot about the soil, didn't she? The soil and the earth, the environment.
Yeah. So movement, because in that 1992 speech that she gave, she actually name checks Animal Aid, and she said, "Look, I'm concentrating on the environment, right? You know, but I'm not having a go at groups like Animal Aid. I think they're brilliant. It's just that I'm looking at it from a different angle." So she actually did that shift. And instead of trying to redirect the vegan society, she left it and formed compassionate living. So, you know, I mean, that's the way you should do it. It's what happened to the ALF. When you got people who wanted to be violent towards humans, they decided to form other groups, like the Justice Department, you know, Hunt Retribution Squad, Animal Rights Militia. Whereas in the vegan movement, when people want to change from being vegan, they try and change the movement to fit them instead of them renaming themselves. And the ironic thing about that is the names are already there. You know, we've got Animal Aid, Animal Concern, we've got Vegetarian, we've got Pescatarian, and all the names are covered. It's just that they want to cling on to the vegan thing for some weird reason, which doesn't even, going back to what you said, make that much sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really, does it? With this, because I think obviously Roshin's talking about this as a strategy, because people are ultimately selfish and thinking about maybe their children and grandchildren and going forward, and how climate change is affecting humans. And I suppose there's a couple of things here. One is that obviously environment is massively a big part of our fellow animals' lives, because it's where we all live. It's where animals live as part of an environment. We don't live in a bubble, so we can't separate animal bodies out of environment. So we have to take care of the environment. Otherwise, where are we all going to live? What food are we going to eat? What, you know, we're going to have no water resources and etc. We need to be able to thrive. So we can't separate out. I suppose here we'd think of it going back more to focus and scope, and thinking of environmental issues being part of that context. Whereas I suppose if we advocate veganism from a climate perspective, we can. I think this is maybe where we can distinguish between plant-based and vegan, because we can say, okay, as part of climate change, it's really important that we follow plant-only diets. And actually, a lot of the environmental people do talk about that, although they don't advocate for purely plant-based diets. Sadly, a lot of them will say we just have to really massively reduce. So that's obviously problematic from a vegan perspective. So that's also where I'd say this could be an issue, is that if we advocate only for the climate, and that's why we're becoming plant-based eaters, then that leaves the status of fellow animals untouched. It leaves them as, it doesn't kind of touch speciesism in a way. So we're not undercutting and uprooting speciesism. We're only talking about, let's deal with our environment, but we're not changing that relationship. And I think veganism is fundamentally about changing that relationship. So that's my only kind of real thing with this.
Go back to division of labor. If you've got vegans and vegan activists who won't do vegan outreach, well, maybe the best thing they could do on the climate side of things is to contact the climate campaigners and encourage them to embrace philosophical veganism as part of it. I mean, there's a lot more of them than there is of vegans. If we could get them to firm up their environmentalism, to embrace vegan philosophy, that would be probably better than vegans framing veganism you know, as a climate thing. So again, I think a division of labor would work there.
Yeah, no, that's it. There's just not enough of us, and that's again coming back to the one of the, you know, the themes of the show is veganism in crisis, partly because there aren't enough people being vegan, living vegan, but also speaking up and being active in order to promote veganism, and that's part of the shrinkage, isn't it? It's like if there's not enough people helping create other vegans, then we're just, you know, either standing still, and if we're standing still in an ever-growing population of humans, then we are going backwards in a way, because we're not keeping up with the numbers. So I don't know, I told myself last time I did the show, I must sit on my hands, because I really talk with my hands and it's probably very distracting. So I'm just going to sit on my hands for a little bit.
Are you literally sitting on them?
Yeah, no, I'm literally sitting on them now, because I'm sorry about that. I must have some kind of, maybe it's my Viking heritage or something, just very expressive. I don't know.
I mean, Jeremy makes a good point, because Jeremy is always concerned about anything that would take the emphasis off on fellow animals, and so so he's saying that's what would happen in that sense. But there's no real. We're having trouble
with Facebook or something.
Yeah, with Facebook now. Yeah. Okay.
And then this one from Neil: should we focus our efforts at trying to stop vegans abandoning veganism, or try to create new vegans? I've been vegan since 1981. Well done, Neil. That's a long time. Yeah, I know it's a really good question, because if actually we could keep vegans living vegan, that would be a massive, massive change, wouldn't it? Because Tom Reagan talked about the revolving door, didn't he? People going out and other people coming in. It just seems like that with veganism and vegan activism as well. If we could actually keep vegans and keep people being active, we'd bolster the numbers, and then those extra numbers would then bolster new vegans. If you know, so I think both are important. But yeah, definitely keeping vegans. So again, going back to the social thing, supporting each other, and this is where the toxicity and the calling out, is it even helpful to be on social media constantly calling out other vegans for what they're doing or not doing, because it's creating this overall, sorry, hands are out again.
We're breaking up apparently. Is that
oh,
right? Well, Jeremy's commented on it as well, both. Are we still? It might have been when, because I had to delete Facebook from the.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
so maybe I've lost my thread now, what I was saying. I've had to sit on my hands again. But what was I saying just then? You probably weren't listening.
Oh, no, I was reading that because I was thinking, look out, we're breaking up. So can somebody tell us, are we back again, or are we still?
Are we back?
Open?
You are fine here. Oh, unless it might have been on Neil's end.
We've made it to the States.
What's that? Yeah, we're good. We're good in Arizona.
And
oh, I didn't hear any problem. Oh, okay, Carolyn says not.
Yeah, in Canada.
So I think, it's probably yeah, it's probably because Neil's watching on Facebook.
No, it was probably because I was deleting it and that interfered with everything for a few seconds. I think that's what it was.
It did come up with that message, didn't it? We're having trouble on Facebook.
Yes, it did. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting thing, because StreamYard has seemed to have a lot of new features. It's probably taking time to bed in, and so I think some of the new features are probably altering some of the old ones, like the green screen. You know, the green screen is usually better than that. You know, it's all that fuzzy edges around me and everything. That's usually a bit better than this, especially when I've got the new light.
Oh yeah, that's true, because I don't usually notice that.
Yeah, that's right. And so maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Maybe you're being beamed up somewhere, like Star Trek. You're being beamed, and so you just
it's a very
half there.
If I am. Somebody's suggesting there's nothing wrong with waving your arms about, except that,
oh, thanks.
You know what Tobias Leonard would call you?
What? Go on.
Well, that's part of his ableist, crazy vegan stereotype, isn't it? We're all on the street. He actually waved his arms in the air like this and said that that's how vegans behave. He was talking to it was a workshop, kind of, one of the Melanie Joy workshops. He was talking to a group of people who are new to veganism and telling people that vegans are crazy. I mean, they created the crazy vegan stereotype. Him and Sebastian Joy. There's no wonder that veganism is a bit of a mess at the moment, and that hardly anybody knows what it is. We've had 20 years of people undermining veganism for various reasons.
I wonder if they're referring more so to, well, I don't know if it's just the people on the street being, aggressive in their outreach, because I don't think that happens a lot.
A street thing.
Oh, was it a street thing? But there also is maybe a little bit of, obviously, the hostility that comes across online at times, with people being, very, critical or calling out, not in a helpful, in-reach kind of way, but just in a, shaming people and things like that. Maybe also referring to that, because I think that's where I was going with my last thread, actually, is looking to support each other and not being hostile to each other is part of keeping vegans being vegans and activists being activists. Is actually showing solidarity, like reaching out to people, helping them, encouraging them, supporting them, not being hostile, not being overly critical. And I think there's just so much of that now. It seems such a shame, but maybe that's part of why the veganism is shrinking or struggling for me. Is that what? Yeah. I do that in my classes, actually, when I talk about breathing, because I'm like, inhale, open the ribs.
Too big to do a Trump interpretation.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I've got the colour, haven't I, in this light. I'm not actually this colour, by the way, as I mentioned last time. I am actually much paler than this, but my light makes me glow. So yeah, funny. So yeah, when we are definitely thinking of putting a group, just holding a group space for people to come and express, talk, share, just hang out with other vegans. Nothing heavy, just a space to support and show solidarity.
Yeah, we've kind of done that for the last half an hour anyway, in a weird way. But it would be good for people to be able to talk and that. But we'll have to have some moderation, because Jeremy used to call it Zoom bombing, didn't he? Remember, we used to get Zoom bombing. I've not heard of that for years now.
Yeah, but I think Zoom have really upped their security now, so it's harder to get in. Like, people come into a weight room and then you have to let them in, whereas before they could just come in, couldn't they? Do you remember we used to get people coming on and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things, like porn and trolling us and
I mean, some of those images were horrendous, Right, okay, I guess we ought to say thanks to everybody, and we've still got 27 online, would you believe?
No, they're all just coming in, probably because it's later now, isn't it? It's people coming a bit later.
Yes, indeed.
Oh wow, there's some really good comments coming through as well. It's a shame we haven't got another hour, because there's some really interesting comments coming through.
We've got 2 films we haven't played yet.
Yeah, we have. We always say, we're going to have enough for the show, and then we always end up with way too much.
We got the dog thing as well.
We have got the dog thing as well.
Should we go through the dog thing just for the laugh?
Does everyone want to go through the dog thing as a little finale? Give us a yes or a no. We've got a dog.
We've got a dog thing here. I think
they're all trying to get rid of us. They're all saying goodbye, so maybe they just want us to go.
Oh, are they? Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Do you want us to go?
Well, we can start this, and if people leave, we've still got 27 online as far as I can see. So I just saw this article, and it was common behavior from humans that dogs don't like, and so some of these are really quite interesting. So I thought, do you think that would make a good section for the show?
And I think the people in here will know this anyway. Like, most people in here now are just going to go.
I mean, it's kind of obvious and common sense, but there were some ones that
to us
were surprising for me. So bathing and certainly bathing too often. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I mean, I've known dogs who they'd have your hand off if you tried to give them a bath. You know.
Look at that poor little soul. I mean,
I know.
They're not happy, are they? Yeah, because it's the scent, isn't it? Like you're basically, they've got their own scent. They're familiar with their scent.
It's away from them.
It's part of that, and then you're washing it off and also replacing it with smelly chemicals, and their sense of smell is phenomenal. And so everything that we can smell,
that comes up in the bleach one. There's a bleach one coming up. Yeah. There's going to be a couple of adverts, I think. So,
do you know what, Deb? He's giving his input from outside the room. I can still hear him. I just better let Dylan back in for this bit, actually. If he wants to come in.
Now, I think this one is a big one. This thing about not letting them sniff around the street. Because I mean, we make jokes, don't we, about P-mail and stuff, you know. But I mean, they get so much information from via their noses. And it's so distressing seeing humans kind of dragging them away from trees and, you know.
This does look like Dexter, Jeremy. Little Dexter dog. Another D dog. Yeah, it's infuriating, actually. Infuriating. Because you think, why are you even bothering to walk outside with this dog individual if you're not going to let them do what they want to do, which is actually massively important, because a big part of their brain deals with the sense of smell, because that's their main sense. So that it's massively stimulating for them. You know, it's like stopping us having, like, reading a book, watching telly, you know, having that input or having a conversation with your friends. And it's so important. And then you just see people, oh, come on, getting really cross. I once saw a woman literally smacking her dog for sniffing, like the dog was being really naughty, and just pulling her off, and it's just infuriating.
Well, here's something I'm in two minds about, Wendy, is because if you see this setup and everything, what you tend to see when dogs are out and about, especially if they're off the lead in a park, for example, they're very, very concentrated on doing their own thing, and they just check back with the human every now and again and stuff. Because I was going to say that I really hate it when people are there with their headphones, you know, and they're not interacting with the dog. But I wonder whether the dog would want that anyway. They'd probably just want to get on with their own thing, like sniffing and doing whatever. They don't want too much chatter from the human anyway. So maybe I was wrong to think that's bad. What do you think?
What, as in not engaging with them? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really a good point, actually.
Like when you see mothers now with pushchairs and they've got headphones on.
Yeah.
You know, and the kid is just, you know.
Yeah, because maybe the dog's thinking, oh, a bit of peace and quiet from this flipping chatting human ape. Give me a bit of peace. Just want to smell. Just want to have a sniff of this dog pee over here.
What do people think in the thing there? I think I might be wrong about that. So I always thought, well, that's not great, is it? You're virtually ignoring your walking companion, as it were. But maybe that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when they're off the lead, they tend to wander, you know, like a 30-meter kind of radius, right?
Benny's saying Dosser. I love that, Dosser. Oh, that's brilliant. Dosser is another D dog. So we've got Dylan dog, Dexter dog, Dosser dog. Has anyone else got a D dog or another dog they'd like to share the name of? Dos. Dos. It's funny how many names they have, isn't it? Like they start off with one name and it kind of evolves into like 20 names, and the other names are nothing like the original name. That's what happens in all of this stuff here. Dos dog likes to stop and sniff. Mandy always tells me it's his walk. Yeah, this is so true. It's their walk, and it's important to let them have that agency, isn't it? If you can, where if they're in a place and it's safe, to let them choose where they're going to go. Let them wander to where they can. Let them take the direction. If you're out on the streets, let them choose the direction to just make space for as much agency in that individual as possible, rather than dictating every little move. And I know sometimes and I know very well, trust me, living with D-Dog, how difficult that can be, but I just try and be very mindful of it when I can, to leave him as much space as I can to do his thing.
This one is saying, let them, if you're going to play with a toy, let them actually catch it. Otherwise, you're creating a lot of anxiety. I suppose if you're swinging a toy around and you don't let them actually win or
yeah.
So
we have a Donny. Does he count? Of course he counts, Jeremy. Of course he does. D-sheep and a Daisy. Daisy pig. Lots of D's.
Where did this D theme come from? The D-Day, is it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Deb, I can't remember. How did we... I don't know if I started D-Dog or if Deb started D-Dog. But I know between us we used to call him D-Dog. And it just became a thing. But it might come from somewhere else. Definitely like D-Day or...
Okay, that's weird. Right. So let them catch a toy. Now this one is weird because, well, I mean, some dogs won't allow this, would they? Ignoring them when you come home, because there is that. Do you remember? Like we talk about the animal rights debate, 89, with Reagan and all that. Well, part of that animal night, there was this documentary, and it must have been new at the time, and we were talking about the late 80s, and they put hidden cameras in a room, and a dog was left all day, like some of them, and then it showed you him pacing around, looking out the window and all that, then flopping down on the floor, bored stiff, get back up again, hears a noise, goes, looks at the window, comes back and everything. And then did that usual thing of just before the human is expected back, suddenly comes awake, kind of knows in advance type thing, and then the excitement of the human arriving back kind of thing. But to ignore them in that circumstance is such a, I mean, that's an insult, isn't it? So
that's awful, because actually it's not really that natural for them to be on their own anyway, because dogs wasn't choose to be on their own. They choose to be with their family and their friends, and you'd be in a group. I think pretty much all the time they'd be in a group to eat, to sleep.
I mean, we call it pack, don't we?
They call it pack, yeah. But I like to say family.
Okay, that's an advert, I think. Strong smells.
Look at that. Look at that face. I love that.
Dogs have an incredible sense of smell that's much better than that of humans. Naturally, strong smells such as bleach affect them much more than us, so something to be aware of. So that's pretty good advice, I would think, because I imagine that like you see online lots of adverts for dog bed cleaners and this kind of stuff. They probably prefer it not to be, and just
smelly,
a natural kind of smelly smell,
yeah, because I think that's the thing. It's like you're trying to make them fit into the human world in terms of how they smell, and also the amount of things they must have to put up with and tolerate in our human world. I mean, I've got this thing where I've got this really, sometimes smells for me can be unbearable. Like I can go into a room and have to leave that room because I find it unbearable. And I think if I'm like that, because I'm quite sensitive, what's it like for a dog who's like can smell zillion times way more than me? And I just really feel for them, because it must be so hard. Like strong smells, chemical smell, household products, people wearing perfume. Like perfume these days, like you can literally walk into a wall of perfume and the person's nowhere to be seen, and you think, where's that perfume come from? Like, who's left this? Yeah, it's awful.
People don't wear perfume as much as they used to, though, do they?
Do they not? I find it quite extreme at the moment.
Oh, okay, right.
But that might just be me, because I am quite sensitive.
So this is don't leave them alone, or lots of dogs hate being left alone all day. Well, obvious, anybody would, right? And so that's a kind of obvious one in a way. This is interesting, forcing them to interact with other dogs. So I suppose some of them are just not going to get on, are they?
Yeah, and some dogs might. Yeah, well, obviously, two individuals just might not like each other just because they're both of the same species. That doesn't necessarily mean they like each other. Like we don't like every other human we meet. So it's individuals as well. And some dogs just might be anxious to meet other dogs. You know, they might not just like that particular
what
one.
do you think about people who prevent them from interacting with other dogs? Because I really dislike that when you you know that they've got two humans shouting and screaming at two dogs who are trying to interact, you know, and the humans are interfering with that interaction. You think, you know, they just wanted to meet someone of their own species. Leave them alone for a bit, you know. I think it does say if there's a bit of a fight, leave them to it. So that's an interesting one coming up, I think. That's an advert. Yeah, this was one I mentioned to you. I was saying if a vegan does this, they ain't a vegan. You know, I really dislike this trend that there is. You know?
Yeah, I know. It just to me that just looks like a poor humiliated person.
Also, how long would it take for this dog to overheat? I mean, they've got a fur coat on already.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I don't like that. I don't like the whole dressing up thing because it's almost like you're just treating them like some kind of toy, or you know, just don't like that.
That's why I've never
accessory.
liked that phrase, fur baby. I've always disliked that incredibly.
Yeah, like just a toy commodity. Like people carry them in their handbags like some kind of fashion accessory. Just
I reckon a lot of people are gonna dispute this. Having their paw pads touched. I think some dogs like that.
And I suppose that's individual, maybe.
Yeah,
Dylan quite likes it. He does because he'll do a high five, and he if you like if he wants a little stroke on his head and stuff like that, and if you stop, it goes like this and then sometimes he'll just give you a little five. And I don't think he minds it. I mean, his paws are huge. His paws are literally the size of my hands. So, he's got quite a big five. But
I've noticed as much as being stroked, which some dogs don't like, but they do like being massaged. And I think part of that would be their feet, you know, separating out their toes and this kind of stuff. I think some like that.
Some dogs, did you say?
Some dogs, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose that's it again. No, we can't talk about dogs as if they are one, like homogeneous monolith. They are all individuals who are going to have different preferences and things, aren't they?
Yeah, Jeremy's saying that the sweaters can be functional. Yeah, okay, but I mean that's not the reason they're doing it, is it? It's cutie, isn't it, and stuff. So, but yeah, I do get that. Obviously, it's,
and I think that's the thing. If the intention is to help that individual in some way, then that's different to using them as a prop and a toy. Then I suppose it's coming from that intention. Right? Am I doing this because I think you're struggling? It is cold. I'm going to put this clothing on you. It's different, I think. So,
this funny enough, going back to this thing about vegan social club. This would be a perfect article to have a map for people to talk about, wouldn't it? You know, you know, what's your view about this? Because I think a lot of people would dispute that particular one. Sending confusing signals. Well, that obviously, you know, obviously the same with anybody. You know, obviously babies must be the same, but with everybody. Dogs understand your body language better than our verbal language. So while they might understand words like sit, walk, and come, they're usually guided more by your gestures. Okay, but how do you police yourself in relation to that, especially if you've not got a great grasp of what your gestures mean to them?
I know. I think dogs are incredible at picking up on words and like physical gestures, and sometimes maybe putting them together. But often people will give too much, like too much movement, or they'll be pointing one way and saying one thing, and the dog's thinking mixed messages, mate, and the human's going stupid dog, and you're going, no, mate, you're not clearly expressing what you want to this dog. This dog's trying to interpret a different language plus body language. So yeah, they are incredible at that. But I think it can be a bit confusing if you're giving mixed messages with your hands.
Yeah, but it must be difficult to work out what mixed messages you're giving, though.
I think you just have to keep it quite simple, and maybe sometimes use a gesture rather than the word. If they respond to that. Dylan knows loads of words. Like, he picks up on words that I don't even know that he knows, and he'll just suddenly look at me and go, and I go, oh, he knows that one. But I have to be careful when I say that. You know, certain things you're trying to like keep secret from him for a bit, and then he's like, no, he's sussed it. So that they're quite good at words. But I think it's when you're trying to like, if you're saying, oh, go and get this, and you're pointing in the direction, and they're thinking, oh, that doesn't mean that hand gesture doesn't mean that. I think it's trying to almost like navigate it with the individual rather than just thinking, oh, this always means this. I think you have to kind of learn how to communicate with each other. So I'll try and keep my gestures simple. I'm going to show you that when I do this, I mean this, like consistently. And then they'll go, oh, okay, I think when you do that, that means that. And then you learn together almost. I think that's probably a good way to think about it, for me anyway. I'm sure other people.
Dog sitting, you know, I used to do dog sitting, and there's a couple of dogs that when we were out in the backyard and that, and I would kind of do this thing where you'd just freeze, right, and they would do the same, and then you'd move, and then they move, and then stop again. You know,
it's brilliant. It's a game, like a game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's playfulness.
They seemed to really love that, but did they? I mean, maybe I was terrifying the poor buggers. You know, I don't know. You know,
I think Dylan likes that because I do that to him as well. Because I literally we have this game of chase in the kitchen, and I'll suddenly go really still, and I look at him, and he goes really suddenly, looks at me, and then all of a sudden I just go, and then he just goes, and he just chases me, and then I'm screaming because he's terrified.
One of the ones coming up though, Wendy, is don't look him in the face.
Oh, yeah. And maybe a dog that you don't know, maybe I would say, possibly, because it could be an aggressive thing.
There was one dog I used to care for called Buddy, and he had a terrible accident with a rubber ball. I think he choked to death, I think. And
I've heard of that before.
I wasn't there at the time, but he used to love it when you'd stand in front of him, and then you'd move to one side, then he'd move, and then you'd move to one side, and so you ended up with this weird kind of dance thing. But he would always let you move first, you know.
They do create games as well, don't they? That's the thing. If you open up to it and you give them space, they create games, and it's brilliant because then you go,
so do cows and pigs. That's the thing that people don't realize.
Absolutely. The creativity and playful.
I mean, obviously, if you were to do games like that with a fully grown cow, you're going to have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Having Dylan's terrified enough when he's chasing me, but a cow would be quite
that's a lot of muscle moving around.
Yeah.
That's another advert. Okay, here you go. Exposing them directly to their fears. Now it mentions fireworks here. If your dog dreads fireworks, which they probably do, don't take them out if you know they're about to shoot them. Weird way of putting it.
Do they mean shoot the fireworks?
Your pet a lot? Yeah, shoot fireworks. Yeah, that's weird. You just say let them off, don't you? Don't say shoot them.
Set them off. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay. Petting them when they're afraid. I love this picture. So wonder how they got that one though. It makes you wonder how they got some of these pictures. You should never pet a dog when they're afraid. This only reinforces the fear. The best approach is letting them be alone, but with you nearby. I reckon some people will disagree with this, don't you?
Yeah, I have heard that before from behaviorists. Don't make a fuss. Because some people say, like, when they come in, especially if someone's coming in and they're very boisterous, like, don't engage with them. let them calm down until they've, you know, calm down and then engage with them.
Mm.
But that's so difficult, especially when they're really excited to see you.
Yeah,
because of course you've got a relationship with this person, and so, you know, you're.
I tell you what, how that would work though. What I would do, I'd sit down on the floor. You know, and like at one point there was like 8 big dogs. You know, and so again, you have to be careful because they would jump at you and knock you over and that kind of stuff. So there you go, staring into their eyes. Having sustained eye contact isn't the bonding experience you think it is. In reality, dogs know it's a threat or a challenge. It can make them feel intimidated, confused, or super uncomfortable. Do you disagree with that?
Well, again, I wouldn't disagree wholly, but again, if you've lived with the individual, and it's not like I would sit and stare in Dylan's eyes, but I do. He does look me straight in the face, and I look back at him and just chat to him. But you know, I'm not trying to hypnotize him or anything. But he seems to find that okay. But if he looked uncomfortable,
if they're looking straight at you, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and I'll just be chat to him and stuff, and he'll, because Deb said here actually, no, not that one. It moved just as I put it on. It moved. They always look into our eyes and try to see what's really going on, and they do. That's what I found with Dylan as well. He will really check you out, really look into your face and stuff. So then I don't really stare. I don't stare at him, I wouldn't say, but I wouldn't avoid eye contact as such. But then I know him. If I didn't know a dog, I probably wouldn't do that. If I was coming across a dog,
staring, it doesn't say you can't look at them.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I think
I like it. You know, when you talk to a dog and they
do that with their head.
Yeah,
they do that. Yeah. They're brilliant. Slow blink. Yeah, slow blinking. That's a good one. I funny you say that, Jeremy, because I do that definitely with the cats.
Yeah, what does it mean? I was going to ask Jeremy what it means.
You close your eyes really slowly. So cats do it, and cats do it, I think, as a sign of there's no threat here. I feel comfortable. So I often do that with the cats, and I started doing it with Dylan, thinking, is he just going to think I'm this weird human doing this stuff, or does it soothe him as well? And he seems to quite like it.
Okay, so you just slowly close your eyes for a
just slowly. It's like you're going to blink, but in slow motion. And you just if you ever hang out with cats, they do it. If they're comfortable with you, they do it quite a lot.
I think I'll try that with the fruit flies.
I would.
I always think, you know, sometimes a fly will land on you and then fly off and come back and then maybe move to your leg, or you know, that kind of stuff. I always start thinking about reincarnation at that stage. I think, you know, who are you then? You know, so going for a quick walk. Sure, we're all busy and sometimes we feel super lazy, but it's not your dog's fault. They deserve a proper walk so they can stretch their legs and go to the bathroom. Well, I suppose sometimes.
So they're saying this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
To go for a quick walk.
Going for a quick one, yeah.
But I suppose if you had no option,
nothing, what do you do?
Better quick than nothing.
Yeah.
But obviously, try and do better. That's what I'd say. Do better if you can. And that's the thing, I think, when people take on other individuals into their homes, a lot of time the focus, not on anyone here, I know, but generally out in the muggle world, it's basically oh, what are they going to do for me? I want a dog that I can pet, or that my child wants a dog, or I want someone I can take for a walk. Especially during COVID, that happened a lot. But there's often not the what do they need from me? How much time do I need to dedicate to this individual? How much money do I need to be able to dedicate to their food and their vet care and whatever else that they might need? How do I help them to thrive and have, you know, good interactions and a good I can't think of the word, enrichment. How do I enrich? Yeah, give them good enrichment in their life. And that needs to be a bigger thing. And this is the thing with going for the whole why love one and eat the other thing, is we put dogs on this pedestal as if they are the pinnacle of liberated fellow animals, when they're absolutely not. Of course, they're still considered, you know,
spending their entire lives being pulled around by their neck,
being pulled around, captive, you know, bred to be captive, to be a little pet, you know. So
remember in the 70s, everybody used to have choker chains. Do you remember that?
Choker chain, yeah. There's still quite a big thing, I think, especially on the dogs who look quite intimidating. I think it's a bit of a status thing. Like I've got a big scary dog and they're on a choker chain and they look really tough. I think that can be still a bit of a thing.
Right. Okay. When you're tense or in a bad mood, your dog often acts as a mirror and feels the same way. So for the benefit of both of you, try to make sure your bad mood doesn't last so long. Good luck with that.
But and sometimes they lift you out of the moods as well.
Yeah,
like you might feel like in a bad mood, and then you spend a little bit of time with them and you play the little games and they start chasing you about, or you turn around and they've got their favorite squeaky toy and they're making like a cacophony with that squeaky toy, and you just can't help but like beam from ear to ear, and it lifts you out of your mood.
Snap out of it, human.
Yeah, come on, human. It's not that bad.
Yeah. You think you've got problems?
You know, exactly. Look at that bloody scented bed you've just given me. Stinks.
Talk to them in their language. Constantly woofing and barking at your pup can be terrifying for them. Especially if you're getting louder and louder. I wonder who made some of these up. Also, yelling at them to be quiet doesn't work either. Yeah, well, I've witnessed that. People screaming at dogs to be quiet, and in fact, they might get even louder, and that's what tends to happen, I think. So I think that is a ridiculous thing. Again, I think just getting on your knees or sitting down would do that, but not screaming at them. That's just ridiculous. So who constantly woofs and barks at dogs?
I must admit, I've never experienced that, so I don't know.
No.
I've definitely heard people shouting and screaming, though. Even people who consider themselves to be a professional dog walker, I've seen those people absolutely screaming to get dogs back and telling them off and being really...
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I just think, what are you doing? No, it's awful.
Must be barking mad. How to reduce your I think that's another. Loud environments. Well, I suppose that's obvious. Loud voices, vacuum cleaners, fireworks again. Anything loud will truly frighten and disturb your dog. Again, personalities, I mean, I imagine there's some dogs who don't give a shit.
About what?
Noises.
Don't give a shit.
I've known dogs who will watch fireworks and not seem to be frightened at all.
Yeah, I think some dogs are not necessarily frightened, but you do wonder about the noise levels affecting their hearing. Same as we can go to a loud concert and enjoy it, but it's affecting your hearing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might not be terrifying for some of them, but it's still loud.
That's why people don't go to the disco with their animal companion, huh?
Yeah, which brings up actually, when you go to loud animal rights events, there are often a lot of people who take dogs along.
Yeah.
And you've got people on megaphones, you've got like the flares going off, you've got, so it's loud, it's smoky, it's lots of people shouting, marching.
You know what you should say to those? You say, okay, get on your hands and knees for a bit and see what it feels like. Have all these legs going as well as all the noise and everything, kind of people tripping over you and stuff.
I do often look around, and I just think I can't imagine why you would have brought this individual here to this environment.
No.
But
environment, yeah. Not having any rules. Dogs aren't natural born leaders. There is a bit of human supremacy here. They need you to give them structure, rules, and routines. But if they feel no one is providing any leadership, then they might take on that role. Yeah, well, this can lead to some serious issues like aggression and destruction. Yeah. Okay, so you've got to be the leader of the pack, in other words.
This, you hear this a lot in, this is definitely linked to like old school behavioral training, and there's people close to me who when Dylan first came to live, I was considering, because people said, oh, go and see this person, they're brilliant, they really show them who's boss, and they really like sort them out. And then I heard stories that they literally will pin dogs down to dominate them.
Yeah.
I was thinking, holy shit, no way. Like, I'm not going to that person, because
that's part of the training in circuses. I once read this book by this guy called Yves something, I can't remember his last name, but he was an ex-circus trainer talking about the tricks of the trade. He said, as soon as you see a new big cat who you've never seen before, you attack them. You go for them, verbally and all that, and very kind of, I'm the boss here, and if you're not careful and all that. And, because the idea is, was it taming, training, and then performance? No, taming, training, rehearsals, performance. Right? And usually the public only see the latter, right? And so the other three can have some serious problems about them, especially taming and initial training.
Yeah.
Using a tight leash, it's kind of obvious, isn't it, that one? If you walk your doggo by pulling them, then you're sending messages of to run away or fight. I guess that's obvious, isn't it? This guy again. Showering them with hugs. While hugging is a way for humans to express love and gratitude, dogs don't take it the same way. For them, it's a sign of dominance, which can cause confusion and irritation. I think that's a case-by-case personality thing.
Yeah. I think so.
I think small kind of so-called lap dogs. I mean, they want to have that connection, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes I suppose it's maybe letting them lead, which might be a good thing. Is to how do they lead that relationship a little bit? Do they come to you? Do they want to sit with you? Rather than like imposing yourself onto them, like, oh, I want to stroke you, I want to hug you. It's like that might feel crowding. So maybe letting them lead a little bit, taking a little step back.
Especially if you're doing it for an audience, kind of, oh, come and show love for mummy and all this kind of crap that people do. Yeah, and all that. Yeah. So, okay. Having their nails trimmed. This is kind of an obvious one, isn't it? Some dogs will tolerate having their nails trimmed, but most dogs really don't like it. I would imagine that no dog likes it. I wouldn't think. However, if you gradually get them used to it, then they should eventually come around to it. So what's the score with you and the monster? Do you...
Well, we bought the clippers, but they're still in the packet. And if we were to get them done at the vets, we'd have to sedate Dylan. Like, he wouldn't be able to, he can't go to the vet without being sedated. So if he's there, you know what? Dylan gives himself a mani-pedi regularly. He chooses nails off. Okay. And then where we take him out for his exercise, we try to get him to walk a little bit.
A pedicure.
We take him onto the concrete to get him to wear them down a little bit. But yeah, we have got those clippers. So if need be, we'd have to try it.
Yeah, terrible. This dog looks like if I knew how to open tins, I'd have you, mate.
I know. Look at that little face. Really not enjoying that at all. Bless him.
Keeping them bored. Well, that's kind of been said before, hasn't it? It's obvious kind of thing. If you have a mouse smooching their snout. Now, kissing is a sign of affection for humans. Planting a giant smooch on your dog's snout and forehead can cause problems. Okay.
I don't know. I
thought
haven't heard
that would be
that.
the
Well,
worst thing to do, but yeah. I suppose it is a sign of who's in charge. Now, this is interesting. Waking them up. No one likes to be woken up, including your doggo. As they age, they can sleep more heavily and react poorly if woken up abruptly. Okay. Normally, you just have to rattle their lead and ping, they're awake.
oh, Dylan hates that. He hates it. Hates when you get his lead or his harness or anything. Can't bear it.
Well, because he doesn't want to go out.
Yeah. Once he's out, he loves it. Absolutely loves it. He's rolling. He's happy. But it's just that process of going out, because he was abandoned on a street. He was left in a terrible state on the street. So, and then he had a really horrendous experience after that, going from one place to another. So it's probably just stayed with him, and he just doesn't really like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So have to kind of really coax him and give him loads of motivation.
On their head. While you might think it's a sign of affection, don't tap your dog on the head. I do know that I was told that the worst thing that a human can do is when they meet a dog is you go to, you kind of put your hand over their eyes onto their head, and sometimes they react, sometimes they might even have a bit of a snap at that. Because I was told you should offer your hand for them to sniff first, and maybe never go over their eyes.
No, don't go over there, because it's a bit of a surprise for them, and could be maybe
threatening. What are you going to do now? So
like what you're doing, and could it be aggression or?
Yeah, I think that one makes sense. Oh yeah, that's our Chewy. So Jeremy's going back to the don't wake them up thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How to reassure Carl? Teasing them.
Oh.
Yeah. Teasing them with food and never letting them have it may leave your dog with serious behavioural problems. Yeah. I suppose that's a very obvious one, isn't it?
Yeah, and probably one that
you can
people
do
would
it a little bit, can't you? But you shouldn't. That thing about not letting them have it as well. That'd be bad. So this is interesting. But breaking up a puppy wrestling match. I would subscribe to this. The idea is that if there's a couple of dogs who are having a bit of a rough and tumble, which might even look a little bit dodgy to us, I think that they can be the judge of that. And I think that usually if they're still at it and they keep going back, it's because they're enjoying it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they're fighting. I think they're wrestling and playing and stuff. But it looks like, the teeth bared and all that. And they might even hurt each other a little bit. But I think it's just rough and tumble for dogs. Especially, medium-sized big dogs.
Yeah. And again, I think you just have to... It's a little bit context dependent as well. Like if you've got this situation, like two puppies having like this play fight and they're wrestling and they're enjoying it. If you've got two dogs who don't know each other coming from different places, one of them might take a dislike to the other for one reason. And if that dog could then be aggressive and they could get into a fight and one of them could get seriously hurt, then of course you maybe just have to use your common sense there, because that could end badly, which I've heard and seen a lot of that as well.
I think you can tell the difference between a fight and a wrestling match by the noises being made, I think.
Yeah.
Jeremy's saying you're on a marathon today. We
are, aren't we? Flipping it. We were talking about going about an hour and a half ago, I think.
Well, we've got 2 slides left. So assuming a wagging tail tail means a happy dog. Dogs use their tail to explain all kinds of emotions, not only happiness. Now, this is interesting because we automatically think waggy tail and happy. Many people interpret any wagging tail as such happiness. Be attentive. A straight tail up is a sign of an alert dog, while a tucked in tail, well, yeah, I mean, if they tuck it in, but they won't be wagging then, will they? So kind of contradicting itself. If the tail's up, that's kind of attentiveness, a little bit the hunter thing, pointer and all that. Tucked under means nervousness, submission. Yeah, but then the tail's not wagging then.
I think it can be a sign of stress though, or distress as well.
Just a wagging tail, a normally wagging.
I think
tail.
so, but I think it would, because if I think it depends, like their ears as well communicate, and it depends on their general demeanor. Like if they could be wagging out of happiness, and you can probably tell, but it can also be if they're a little bit anxious. I think they could still do some wagging, but maybe you'd notice they weren't quite as, they might be panting a bit more or yawning, or because there are other things, licking their lips and things like that, which maybe are other signs of stress. So I suppose it's not always same with cats, because they flick their tails around a lot, and sometimes it's a happy thing, and sometimes they're like, "Frick off, leave me alone." Yeah. So
you tend to wonder what trauma you've. I mean, I used to live with a dog called Ricky, and when he was quite young, I would smooth his ears down and go, you got no ears, like this, and go, oh, there they are, and then I would like lift them up and say, oh, he's a donkey, right? And he would always kind of wrestle out of it, but he'd come back to do it. It's a bit like what do they call it? Remember that thing you did with the kids? Ladies go a mini min. Do you know that one? And
say that again. Ladies go what?
Yeah, you got the kid on your knee, right? And then you hold out their hands, and you go, ladies go a mini min, and you just move your legs up and down a little bit. And gentlemen go a trot, right?
Oh, right, like they're on a horse.
Cowboys in India. Do you know that game?
Is it when you've got and you're moving it like they're riding on a horse?
Yes. So they're right. Yeah. So they're facing you. They're right now.
Speciesist game.
Cowboys and Indians go, and you go galloping, and you go absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I've never known a kid not to like that, and they would demand more until you were exhausted. I've never known a kid not to like that. Even small ones. Yeah. Right. Last one.
We don't want to encourage that game, because we don't want to encourage children to think it's great to sit on a horse's back and ride.
No, I know. I mean, we talk about back in Yorkshire days. Then I mean,
yeah. Back in the day.
Back in
day, lad. Much like in cats, tail elevated state could be positive or negative. Yeah, very
treating
true.
Them like babies.
Pigs goes. Let's go on.
Treating your dog like a baby is incredibly irritating. Yeah, for people looking on, it is. While you might be tempted to carry them up in the air or rock them back and forth, they'll just get confused and angry. Okay.
Yeah.
You do see a lot of people taking their dogs for a walk in a buggy, don't you?
Like a buggy, or yeah. I've seen that with actually someone that I know did that with. She had a dog that had a disability, and she used to, when they got older, they had a disability, and she used to wheel them around in a wheelbarrow, and they used to love it. But that was for a reason. It wasn't for show. It was just to help them, to assist them to walk around. But a lot of people do with those little dogs. They'll just pick them up and carry them, and I think either the walk's too long for them because they can't take it, or
it's always those little diddy dogs, isn't it?
But it's taking away their agency, and it must be quite frustrating. It's like suddenly, I've been lifted up. No, I can't do what I want to do. So yeah, it's a bit of a.
I've always had a weird prejudice from being a kid about really small dogs, because I like a dog you can wrestle with and have a fight with. And and I mean, some of it can get very boisterous, and they will bite you and that, but they won't crunch you, but they'll bite you and that, and so it hurts a bit. But little dogs, they're useless. My sister used to call them dish rags on legs. Dish rags on legs.
Well, come down to London, Doc, and come and have a go with Dylan.
Yeah, no.
He'll give you a run for your money with wrestling.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit too old for that now. Right, well, 2.5 hours. No, 2 hours and 40, blimey.
Wow. Gosh.
Well, we've gone down from 27 to 16, so we've...
everyone got sick of us.
We're wearing them down,
What happened to leave them wanting more? We've gone against that, haven't we?
I know. We're gonna start getting F off and stuff.
I know. Just go. Just leave us. Go and have a life.
Live in peace. Go away.
See, we just want to hang out with other vegans. That's what it is.
Right, people. Well, thank you so
now,
much for sticking with us. How could you have done it? And we hope you've enjoyed the show. And we'll be back. Now we've actually got a whole series of shows ready, haven't we? Oh, kind of lined up.
We've got a few guests coming up. Some good guests.
Few guests now, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Coming
so
up
you won't have to hear us whittling along so much.
Just don't say they're dropping like flies. No, we won't say that, Abe.
No. Yeah. There used to be an old Monty Python sketch where they were doing that, and they were going. It was human warfare, and it said they're dying like flies, and it panned to this scene where there's all these guys on their back with their legs. Good
old Monty Python. Yeah. Look at this. Benny's still here. Good show. Thanks, Benny. Thanks for being here. And Trey Legal, you all are helping me clean my house. Oh, well, we are happy to
try and slow blink a drummer with Benny.
What's that? We have to keep going till Trey's done. So, yeah, Trey, how much longer for your house to be clean? Hey, come around to do mine if you want. Yeah, and we'll keep going.
I don't understand that. What does that mean, Trey?
Oh, because Trey says, y'all are helping me clean my house.
Oh,
so okay. We do provide a very important service here on TARS. Very important. And Jeremy's done all his chores at the sanctuary pretty much as well while we've been on. So
very good, yeah. Excellent.
Backdrop to the chores.
Okay, we shall be back in 2 weeks with a guest, folks. So thanks again for being with us, and we shall see you then. And we're thinking about Nella, aren't we?
Yes. And we'll keep you posted. I'm sure Nella will be back next time to fill us in anyway.
Yeah. Okay. She does get very upset because it's very, very intense work.
Yeah, and
okay, folks.
Scary as well. So yeah, keep Nella in our thoughts, and and take care of everyone else as well.
Yes, wherever it's happening. Yeah, actually, going back to the island thing, the thing the fire slowly went over a mountain like that. You could see.
Yeah. You sent a video actually of the helicopter doing the.
That was in Greece.
Oh, that was Greece. I thought that was Ireland.
No, the second one where two of them collided in midair in Greece. Yeah, so I don't know what happened to the pilots, but because it always seems a bit pathetic, though, doesn't it? You see the helicopters, and then there's a crash of water, and it lasts about 4 seconds, and that's it. Right?
And that's it, yeah. Because you think it's going to do masses, and then it doesn't, does it?
Well, presumably a helicopter can't. I mean, they need those Chinook things, the ones with the two rotors, so they can take more. But they never seem to use those. Presumably, well, there must be a reason. I don't know what it is.
No, I don't know what that is either.
Yeah. Okay, folks, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye for now.
See you in 2. Take care, everyone.